Good evening. It is now 6 p.m., so I'm going to ask if everybody could start moving to their seats, silence your phones and any other electronic devices, and we'll begin in a moment. And officer, if you could please close the door. Thank you so much. We'll begin in a few moments. IT? All right. This meeting is called to order. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, and the time is now 6:01 p.m. Before we proceed, I just want to remind everyone of our rules of civility and decorum. First and foremost, speakers must first be addressed by me, the chair, and not interrupt any other speaker. Public comments must be addressed to the commission as a whole and not to any individual on the dais or in the audience. Displays of rudeness, personal attacks are strictly prohibited. Demonstrations, yelling, stamping of feet, anything like that, whistling are all strictly prohibited. I will provide you a warning should these rules be violated, and should they continue to persist, I may ask you to leave this meeting. With that, we'll proceed to roll call. I'm going to turn now to our city clerk. If you could please begin the roll call.
Mayor Penserga?
Here.
Vice Mayor Turkin?
Present.
Commissioner Cruz?
Here.
Commissioner Hay?
Here.
Commissioner Kelly?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Maylee. Our invocation this evening will be led by Pastor Jeff Kelly of First Boynton Baptist, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, which will be led by Commissioner Amy Kelly. Let's all stand for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
It's an honor to be here today. Would you join me in prayer? Almighty God, I come before you today and thank you for how kind you've been to us. You've created this world and you've made it good. You filled it with good people and a good community for us to live in. Father, as we consider this gathering today, we remember that you teach us that you have established civil authorities and they're for our good. And so in light of this, I pray for our mayor today. I pray for the various levels of city officials in this assembled council today. Father, would you give them wisdom and favor as they serve our city? Father, give them wisdom to govern. Give them help to lead in a way that would allow us to live in peace with one another in this community. Father, give them a sense of what is best for the welfare and the true needs of our community, and a heart for justice and doing what is right. Give them confidence in doing what is good and fitting, and help them to work together in harmony for the good of those in our community. Father, we pray for the agenda set before them today and ask that your favor would be upon it, that the next couple of hours would be helpful and be a benefit to all who live here in the city of Boynton Beach, which we call home. We thank you for your kindness to us, and we pray this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Kelly, and thank you, Commissioner Kelly, no relation, for those beautiful words. We're now moving on to agenda approval, additions, deletions, and correction. There is one item I would like to remove from the agenda. It is under consent. It is 6H. This is an item, and I've spoken to staff, that I believe is a little premature. They're still working out the terms, and so I figured it'd be best that they conclude their negotiations in determining the terms before we proceed forward with the amendment. All right. Staff, did you want to add anything, or was that essentially, did I cover it?
Yes, sir.
All right, that was 6H. That is my request. All right, let's go around the dais. Let's begin on my left. Commissioner Kelly, do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
No, I do not, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Hay?
I have none.
Vice Mayor Turkin?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I got a couple things I want to add to future agenda items. First, I would like, obviously, if there's a consensus amongst you all, I would like to have staff look into a restrictive covenant for Harvey Oyer Boat Ramp Park. I think we saw how important that is to the community last summer, and we need to ensure that the usage of that park remains as it is today and is not changed for any future potential development. Second thing, I've gotten a lot of phone calls from specifically the Chapel Hill neighborhood in reference to a lot of hanging limbs and vegetation overgrowth on utility lines. We don't currently have an ordinance to allow the city to have some teeth to prevent, any potential, electrocution, things like that. So I think that's something that we should look into, especially coming into hurricane season. We want to make sure that all of our neighbors and families are safe. And then the third thing is there was some sealant sprayed on my road, Southwest 2nd, Southwest 1st, Ocean Avenue. And I don't know where else it's going to be sprayed. I'm going to ask staff to immediately halt this because it's damaging grass, it's making the animals sick, and it's just dog ugly, no pun intended. It looks horrible. It's staining people's driveways. And so, I know this was a test and an experiment to, see how this would look. And its purpose is to, I guess, prolong the quality of life of the road. And it just looks like an eyesore. And these are newer roads in our neighborhood, right? And so I just don't want that to happen to anyone else in the city. And so, I think staff needs to immediately halt this project and then get the vendor involved because it's, it looks horrible and it's damaging, our city-owned roads.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So you brought up 3 items. My immediate thought, item 2 and 3, in the order in which you mentioned it, the vegetation overgrowth, my immediate thought is that's already covered under our code enforcement. If not, have you spoken to staff about this already? Is it not covered?
It is not, and this was a recommendation because I had some concerns from some residents.
Okay.
And so I forwarded that information and staff looked into it. I think Adam Temple can speak more to that if you want to hear from him.
I just want to make sure it's not something we're already doing.
Can we verify that, Adam?
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor and Commissioners. Yes, that's correct. We would need to, in order to enforce some of these larger limbs that are hitting some of the FP&L power lines, to make an amendment to some of our codes in order to enforce that.
Okay, so that clearly tells me it is a policy matter beyond the normal scope of current operations. All right, let's address that item first. Do we have consensus to bring that up for discussion next meeting?
Yes.
All right, you have my support. I think it's an interesting topic. Commissioner Kelly, you wanted to say something about
Well,
that?
just some direction on what the option, I don't know, I mean, I'm comfortable at the next meeting actually looking at a draft of whatever changes staff is proposing.
Yeah, if you've already had the
Opposed to us,
discussions.
Because I think that the gist of it is that let's see what that change
Yeah,
means and says and go from there.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts, Commissioner Hay? You were about to chime in.
No, I was going to wait for you. I think that third one we need to deal with now.
Yeah,
Okay.
But-
You going to speak on that?
yeah, in a
Okay,
moment.
go ahead.
I just want to make sure we cover the vegetative overgrowth item first.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it looks like we have consensus. The third item was about the sealant spray, so this is my first time hearing about it.
Yeah.
My question is this something that can be handled by management, or does this need to be a policy matter before the commission?
This was an item, Mayor, that the commission voted on. It was, like the Vice Mayor had spoke, it was an experimental. I know I went in-depth on this specific, I guess, it's supposed to extend the life of our roads, and we were unaware of, obviously, any the aesthetic aspect of, or any sort of spillover with the grass and stuff, so it's something we would have to get with the vendor on. But as far as like the money allocation, I believe it's already paid for. So I don't know if that would have to come from the dais. Maybe, Shauna, if they already voted and we paid for the sealant, would we need another vote to halt the application
You need
of that chemical?
speak with the vendor about stopping the,
I just feel like that's something, a conversation you all need to have first, and then you can bring back something for us to vote on.
Yeah, we'll get with the vendor.
Yeah, all right. So that was item 3. Item 1, it sounded like a policy request. It
Yes.
is a restrictive covenant on the Oyer boat ramp. I'm open to that discussion. Any questions from my colleagues or agreement, disagreement? So this is about the restrictive covenant, potential restrictive covenant on the Oyer boat ramp. Okay, all right, so it sounds like we have consensus on that as well. In terms of the seal and spray, staff, just get back to us on that. All right, next, was there anything else?
Nope,
We
thanks,
cover
Mayor.
your three? Yes, and Commissioner Cruz, you are next. Additions, deletions,
Nothing for me.
corrections? Nothing for you. The only thing extra I want to add, and I did forewarn staff in advance, just if you could come back and give us an overview of the beautification plan that we had discussed a while back. It's good for the whole commission to opine on it as well, to get input. All right? Okay, hearing nothing else, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda as amended, say aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes unanimously. Yes, sir.
Do we need to officially table item 6H?
I requested that it be stricken off the agenda.
Just off the agenda?
Yeah,
Totally.
and staff will bring it back up at an appropriate time.
Gotcha.
All right. Any other questions? We're now moving on to Section 2, informational items by members of the City Commission, this time beginning on my right, Commissioner Cruz. Any informational items?
Would it be disclosures?
Not for the public hearing items, but just general
Okay.
events,
Yes,
thoughts?
I attended the Bike Month, the Florida Bike Month event with the TPA last Friday. We went around and find a way to advance alternative modes of transportation, and we had a great time. I represented Boynton, but we had representatives for different municipalities, so just wanted to say that Boynton was there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Vice Mayor, informational items?
I don't have anything, Mayor, thanks.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Hay?
I too went on the little cruise. Seems to be going nicely. I've seen them around town, and actually saw somebody riding. So that's great. I attended the NLC in Washington, D.C., which a lot of good information came out of that I'll be talking to Shauna and the city manager on. One of which is the Form 6. We need to really see what's going on there, because I'm hearing a lot of good things, and I'm hearing mostly bad things about it. So we need to talk about it. Also, I attended a community meeting with Coalition of Clergy, with Heart of Boynton and other organizations in the community. Good session, good representation from the city. That's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hay. Commissioner Kelly, informational items.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I have, I just want to thank staff. I had a town hall this last week, so thank you to the residents who came out to hear an update on what's going on in the city and also in District 4. So just thank you, and thank you to staff for putting that together and getting that done. So thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. We're moving on to announcements, community and special events and presentation. The very first item, 3A, pertains to our career online high school graduates. We're going to be presenting them a certificate of achievement to 2 individuals. But first, do we have somebody from our library department to give an overview of the program and their accomplishments?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tiffany Pagan, the Assistant Library Director of our wonderful library. We currently have, including our 2 graduates tonight, we've had 23 graduates successfully complete and receive their high school diploma along with a career certificate. Crystal Richardson received a certificate in addition to her high school diploma in child care and education. Naomi Casanova earned a career certificate in office management. We currently have 10 students who are enrolled, and this program is actually funded through grant funds from our state aid to library. The program requirements are you have to have a library card, and this program is for adults who have not received their high school diploma, so you have to be at least the age of 19 and reside in the city of Boynton limits. And so applications can be filled out at our website, boyntonlibrary.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to come down. Can we give them a round of applause for their achievements? I'm going to come on down with our certificates of achievements, first beginning with Naomi Casanova. Where's Naomi? All right, and I'm going to ask if you would like to say a few words about your experience, and same thing with Crystal as well, only if you'd like. All right.
I want to thank sorry, I'm nervous, the city of Boynton, especially the library. They gave me
Congratulations.
thank you, the flexibility to be able to accomplish this, something that I've been waiting years to do.
So Crystal Richardson, come on up, Crystal. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank
Major
you.
achievement.
Thank you.
Either one.
I just want to thank the city of Boynton Beach. I came a long way. Thank you very much.
All right, the next item, thank you so much, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors. The next item, 3B, is a proclamation for Women's History Month, and it will be presented to Commissioner Cruz. Commissioner Cruz, would you like to read the proclamation into the record?
Sure, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. City of Boynton Beach proclamation. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways, and served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement, and served courageously in the military. And whereas American women have played and continue to play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of the life of the nation by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside the home. American women have played a unique role throughout the history of our nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force in the nation. Whereas American women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights to vote and equal opportunity, but also in the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, and the civil rights movement, especially the peace movement, which created a more fair society for all. Now, therefore, I, Angela Cruz, and
Ty Pensurga, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida,
proclaim March 2024 as Women's History Month. I know it's a little bit late, but this is something that we're going to do on the March 19th meeting, which we canceled because of the election.
All right, thank you, Commissioner, thank you.
We do have members of the Palm Beach County Women's Chamber of Commerce. We have Heather Gray, Second Vice President. We have Rosa White, First Vice President in person. And then we have President Susan Kaplan in spirit, who wasn't able to make it today. Should we get a picture with them?
No, go ahead. Are they here in the audience? Excellent. If you'd like to say a few words, come on up.
Thank you. On behalf of the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County, we thank the City of Boynton for this honor. And we know that your own Commissioner Cruz was nominated for a Giraffe Award, which is our largest celebration of the year, where we celebrate women in the community who stick their necks out for others. So in that spirit, we thank you.
Thank you.
Heather Gray.
And I echo that, Rosa White. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. We're moving on to item 3C. It is an announcement. The City of Boynton Beach is partnering with FAU's Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, CARD, FAU CARD, for the 4th Annual Art and Autism Expo, where art will be on display throughout the month of April in the Arts and Cultural Center that's across the street, 125 East Ocean Avenue. There will be a special gallery opening event from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Monday, April 8th, during which attendees can meet the artist. The next announcement is the 2024 Earth Day celebration. The 2024 Earth Day celebration will take place from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Saturday, April 13th, also right here across the street at Centennial Park, 120 East Ocean Avenue. This free community event will have music, food trucks, vendors, and more. Community Greening is partnering with the City of Boynton Beach to give away 200 native trees, fruit trees, and small plants while supplies last. For more information, contact the Recreation and Parks Department at 561-742-6650 or visit boynton-beach.org online. That concludes our announcements and community presentations and special events. We're now moving on to public audience. As always, each individual speaker is 3 minutes maximum. Must be addressed to the commission as a whole, and the same rules applies always. After we conclude with those in the room, we'll go to those online. For those of you online, make sure you follow the procedure so you are recognized. I will let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining for those of you online. All right, we do have 2 podiums. Please approach the podium. Just somebody begin. And as always, 3 minutes per person. State your name for the record, and you may begin as soon as you're ready.
Dr. Piotr Blas, 113 Tara Lakes Drive, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33436. Just a couple of comments. One is I spent the whole day today at our library, and I remind you we have the best library in the state, and I think we should compete to be the best in the country. So that is a very positive thing. I also would like to remind everybody that I am running for mayor. I don't know how many people are running, but I'm running. The main thing that I would like to mention, my ambition for the city of Boynton is that we and Lake Worth, we are the closest point to the Gulf Stream. And so we're making plans to obtain energy, cheap green energy, by water mills and by various devices in the Gulf Stream. And that could bring a lot of prosperity to our city. This is the best city in the world, but we have one little problem that I would like to mention. As you may know, we are the World Center for Kinetic Sculpture. Once a year we have a festival and all that. So we are not the Louvre exactly, but we have priority in kinetic sculpture. And I would like to remind our city manager and everybody that the kinetic sculpture in front of City Hall has been silent and paralyzed for 3 months. So I think, I'm at the point to have a fundraiser and to help the city fix the sculpture. I think our reputation as an art center is at stake here. So please take it very seriously. Let's find out what the cost would be, and either the city can pay for it or we'll have some kind of a fundraiser to fix the kinetic sculpture. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. I have a few things to talk about. First, to tag, I was going to talk about what he talked about, and then he stole my thunder. So thank you for bringing up that synesthesia piece. I have complained about that piece from day one. I was on the arts board when it got approved. I voted against it. It's a horrible piece. It's not unique. It's not distinctive. We spent over the allotted budget for it, and it should have never been approved. And of course, it's broken. The artist is about to die, going to die, already has died. There's no way to repair this. I think we need to sell it and get as much money as we can for it, and then replace it with a proper kinetic piece that actually works. So thank you for bringing that up. Number two, I know in speaking with the city manager, you guys are supposed to be putting forth some kind of brochure, like welcome to Boynton, these are the rules, this is how we do things. I think maybe you need to include that we have, to the best of my knowledge, 3 right turn only lanes in the city. And so people should not be trying to drive straight through these lanes. For example, headed east on Old Boynton Road at Congress, it's a right turn only. There's one on C, as you're on Boynton Beach Boulevard and you're approaching Seacrest. And I forget what the third one is, and I go through it all the time. But, Woolbright and US 1 going towards where Joanne's is. I think people need to know those are not go straight through and then make a right into the plaza. Those are right-hand turn only. And then the left lane is the one that gets to turn. So let's make that a little more apparent. I want to say thank you, Rally Boynton. I had a great time going out and helping to fix up the Fraternal Order of Eagles. Please join Rally Boynton in the future. I want to know what the status is on the blue lights on Southwest 11th across from Point Siena that I keep bringing up. Those blue lights are bad for people. They cause cancer. And when are we going to get something done? And I keep bringing it up and no one's getting back to me, which is surprising. And my last thing is I'm about to agree wholeheartedly with Harry. I think it's embarrassing and unacceptable for our city to put forth a master plan and strategic plan with absolutely zero public input for months. That is appalling. We are the 3rd largest city in this county. We are the largest county east of the Mississippi. We are leaders. We are not followers. And you are dictating to the people instead of the people dictating to you. You represent us. We tell you what we want, and then you're supposed to do what we tell you to do. And there's too many good people on this dais that I don't know why we're in this situation, that this is being thrown under consent agenda without ever once asking for input from the public. And you all know I'm happy to give input any time of day. And yet you've never made the option available for me or anyone else to give input. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker on the other side, we can alternate, doesn't matter, we can always alternate.
Good evening. My name is Harry Woodworth, Boynton Beach, Director of INCA. I'll say the same thing, but before I do that, the agenda item, B, the plan, the strategic plan, would like to thank you guys and recognize the amount of work that went into that. We did a budget last year without a strategic plan, which was, I think, right up there with unicorns. At the end, flying, perhaps. At the end of the day, we have it. I'm not going to comment on it. It's a lot of work. Thank you for putting the effort forth. And I just want to say what Susan said. I think there's, 80,000, 90,000 people that live in this village. Not one of them had an input into that plan. Not even one. There was no input. There's been no public discussion of it. So you're asking all these people, 80, 90,000 people, to follow this plan for the next 5 years. You're asking them to pay for it with their taxes. Yet they had no input whatsoever, and they don't even know what's in it. They don't even know it exists. And after you get done with the consent agenda today, we'll never hear about it again. I don't even know what to say. I mean, how do you expect people to take the pride of Boynton and all the things that are in there, and there's all kinds of good stuff in there, when they don't even know about it, had no input into it? Think about all the things you've done in your life that you had to support that you had no input in and no awareness of. That's just sad. I really feel sorry for the city. This is just not the way to do it, folks. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Cindy Falco Di Corrado, Boynton Beach. First, I want to address the abuses of this governing board, which is in violation of their oaths of office to protect and to uphold the constitutions of the United States for America and of Florida. You are in violations of 18 U.S.C. Code 241 and 242, color of law. When you have a mayor who sets the decorum of the meeting verbally, which is also written in the agenda, then disregards it and can sit and watch an attack on a senior woman, one of We the People, the mayor is not fit to represent We the People. What I have noticed sitting in many meetings is the mayor is selective on who gets mistreated. This time it was me, a physical attack by a man wearing a police uniform, and it's crimes against the elderly and one of We the People. It is an assault on a senior woman, which is a form of elder abuse. This is unexcusable, unacceptable, unlawful, and will be listed on the Bradley list, this is not the first time this has happened to the City of Boynton Beach Police Department. This makes the mayor an accomplice to crimes that were done against me. Also, when a commissioner who is to represent We the People of this city sits watching while a senior woman is being attacked and not protect, but to get her out of there, that's what he states, get her out of here, get her out of here, and then he says to all, stay out of it. Was this a hate crime? He's a party to the hate crime. And that was just committed last month, at the beginning of the month of our first meeting in March. Something is terribly wrong. This shows the hypocrisy of hate and disrespect and disregard towards women and mankind. This is treason against one of We the People and is punishable under the law. For your information, I have already sought legal counsel and will be filing soon to add to the other frivolous lawsuits against the city for the crimes against the people. My next issue is allegedly Christina Romales, who will be allegedly running for a seat as a mayor of Boynton Beach, and Cortland and Kevin DeFront, who allegedly filed for a commissioner seat in which DeFront used his mother's address as he does not live here in the city of Boynton Beach. Isn't that committing fraud on We the People, like someone else on this dais? Allegedly, all three allegedly candidates were offered in a private meeting. Now, again, a private meeting, isn't that a violation? Allegedly $100,000 each for funding their campaigns. FYI, Romales, maybe you might remember, she was a commissioner and she voted in for this company to develop in the city of Boynton Beach. And allegedly, Romales is looking for a payback from the related group of developers, which is the name of the company, for a rent-free space, office space. Isn't that a quid pro quo? Isn't that more back dirty politics? Allegedly, at the next TRA meeting on Thursday, if you come to the meeting, Romales will be bringing up the topic to possibly raise our taxes if she doesn't get the quid pro quo from her campaign. Does anyone else see the threat of alleged corruption and crimes? Is this what we continually want for Boynton Beach? Is this what's going to...
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next speaker. Anyone else in the room? Thank you so much. As always, state your name for the record and begin when you're ready.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. My name is Kevin DeFrank, and yes, I am running for Commissioner District 3. And yes, I do live at 3621 Southeast 2nd Court. I was born here, born at Bethesda. I've lived here for a large part of my life, and I just wanted to make that statement clear. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker. You may approach the podium. State your name for the record.
Good evening, Dagmar Aragoni. I'm here to remind everybody on this dais that you are elected by the people and you are a public servant. You are not the kings and queens, you are a public servant. You took an oath to uphold the Constitution. Maybe some of you believe that it's just a 5-minute talk that you swear and then you get your position and it's over. No, you are to uphold that oath at all the time that you serve on the dais. If you do not uphold the oath to uphold the Constitution, you are violating it. By violating the oath and the Constitution, you are committing treason and waging war against the American national. You're also violating U.S. Code 18, Title 18, 241, and 242, among many others. Do you realize that when you commit treason, you are guilty and this is punishable by the death penalty? It's subject to the military code of justice. This is not civil law. We're not talking about civil law. When you commit treason, you will be judged by the military tribunal. I would like just to remind everybody, when you take an oath and you have to uphold the Constitution, when you are witness to the violation of the Constitution, while you're sitting and performing the job and service to dead people, it's your duty to stand up and say something in behalf of the Constitution and to uphold it. You witnessed an attack and assault right in the front of your eyes on a senior woman in violation of her unalienable rights. What did you do? You did nothing. Do you realize that under military code of justice, when you are accomplice, you're just as guilty? You're not guilty by 10% less, 50% less. You are just as guilty. And the treason reports will be filed on each and every of you if you do not stand up and do something about the situation that happened over here 2 months ago. We're giving you an opportunity to make your wrongs right because you did wrong. Make your wrongs right. Thank you.
All right. This is the last call for public comment speakers. Please let it be known if you would like to speak. You can form a line. We have one gentleman on my left. Sir, you may begin. If you would like to speak, please let it be known by forming a line so we don't miss you. Sir, you may begin. Say your name for the record.
Hello, how's everyone doing today? It's a pleasure. My first time doing this. Going to get used to it. Be seeing your faces a lot soon. So my name is Cameron. I live at 131 Northeast 18th Avenue right here in Boynton Beach, District 2 to be exact. So my main concern, and I'm just being a voice for my neighbors, is we're having issues with roadways. So this is causing a lot of issues. A lot of my neighbors within the block of the streets, Northeast 1st, going down to Northeast 2nd Court, including Northeast 18th Ave and Northeast 17th Court. So within these streets, we're having a lot of instances where we have a lot of people speeding, and I filed with the Boynton Beach Public Works Engineering, but they seem severely understaffed and they have too much requests coming in without having enough people to help out. So I am looking for the support of my district to go ahead and get this helped out, and let's see something, because within my neighborhood, I've already had, 30, 40 houses, let's say 15 mailboxes within the last 2 years getting destroyed with no help, with no significant impact, with any, what's the discourse that's gonna happen? What's gonna be the fix? And we have yet to see that. And my neighborhood consists of people that walk to our other neighbor's house. We do this consistently. It's a family-like neighborhood, and everybody knows each other. We go out, we get plates from each other every single day. So my neighbors don't deserve to feel threatened going down, walking to their another neighbor's house by cars that come through speeding, and there's nothing being done to it. So I'm looking for the support to help out the Boynton Beach Public Works Engineering Department, getting them some more funding or something like that to enable to help us out. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Somebody just go. I don't care which one.
I live in 121 Southwest.
I'm sorry, ma'am. We're going to start over. I could not hear your voice.
I'm Anita Gabriel. I'm living in 121 Southwest 3rd Court. I want to share a passage from Matthew 5, chapter 5 to 8. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those hunger for thirst for righteousness, for they will be fulfilled. Blessed are the needful, for they are shown, for they will be shown mercy. Mercy are those pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemaker, for they are called children of God. Blessed are those who have been persecuted for righteousness, for thine is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when judge itself you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For if the same way and persecuted the prophets who were before you, I want to want to tell about the health industry, mainly on mental health. It has to be concentrated by everyone. If any parts of the body can be treated by transplantation, but not the mind. Personally, I undergo a lot of stress and strain. Mood swings, and many problems. I'm not able to, the doctor's not taking care of me, and I want you all to help me to come out of this dreadful disease condition. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, it looks like we have the last speaker in the chambers. State your name and begin when you're ready.
Hi, Ernest George McNolly, 710 Northeast 7th Street, Boynton Beach, also known as Harbor Hall Inlet Club condo, which is where we bought and moved in October of 2020. Last week, I attended at the police department an open public meeting where a lot of people on the dais here were at that meeting interacting with the public and answering questions and talking about issues and crime and a lot of things going on in Boynton Beach. And one of the things I found most interesting was that a high-ranking police officer was asked a question about, gee, you know, when I'm around City Hall, I see a lot of stops, and then I see when the police are stopping the motorcycle or the car, it pulls away. And the police just let the car get away. So the high-ranking officer says, well, you have to understand, we're not allowed to chase anyone unless they have committed a felony or in the process of a felony. Otherwise, the city and the police would be in big trouble. And I'd like to know now, that's the fourth major person that's confirmed the high-speed chase of Stanley Davis the day after Christmas. If you think about it, the mayor claimed it the day it happened. It's been claimed several times in city meetings. The major internal affairs investigation against the officer revealed 3 unlawful criminal high-speed chases resulting in death, and a lot of horrible things in the internal affairs file. And so far, the only thing that's happened is the officer was fired. And now, when I go around, I tend to hear a lot of things, people bragging, oh, it doesn't matter, the PBA's coming back, and it's all the kids' fault, it's the parents' fault for buying them the dirt bike and all that kind of stuff. And then I remember after it happened, some people on this dais saying, we will never not let a settlement and responsibility go, including naming a park. So nothing's happened. Why do I say that? I say that because it doesn't matter how many crimes you look at, how much accused or actual corruption you look at. You can't get answers. You can't make public comments. You don't get replies to emails or phone calls. You don't get anything. And the thing is, how's the city getting away with that? Can I get 10 more minutes?
All right, your time has expired. Seeing no one else in the chambers and no one online, public comment or public audience is now closed. We're now moving on to the next portion of the agenda, Section 5, Administrative. Section 5A, City Commission to appoint a vice mayor to serve until March 2025. First, let me say thank you, Vice Mayor Turkin, for your year of service as vice mayor. I know you dutifully managed our meetings in my absence, so we appreciate everything you've done. And now it is time to make a new, can we give them a round of applause?
Thanks, Woodrow. Thank you for the nomination last year. Mayor, so I appreciate you, and
It was a good decision.
I'd like to nominate if you're okay with that. or
Yes,
how
I am comfortable if you would like to make a
I'd
nomination.
like to nominate Amy Kelly.
All right.
To be,
Second that motion.
all right.
All right, so I should say, per the ordinance, a second isn't required, but it is appreciated. And we will undergo multiple rounds of voting if we don't come to a consensus. But we have a nomination for Amy Kelly to serve as our vice mayor. I think that was an excellent nomination. And with that, all those in favor of appointing Amy Kelly to serve as our next vice mayor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Vice Mayor. All right, the next portion of the agenda is to ratify the selection of Library Advisory Board Chair and Vice Chair. Let me just give me a moment to pull up that item. The Advisory Board has made their nominations for their own chair. At the February 28, 2024 meeting of the Library Advisory Board, Stephanie Coliani, I hope I am pronouncing that right. I got it? All right. Was selected as board chair, and Joel Barsky was selected as the vice chair. Per the ordinance, the City Commission must ratify the selection of those two individual positions for their respective positions. May I have a motion to ratify?
Motion to approve.
I believe that was Commissioner Hay. Is there a
Second.
second from Vice Mayor Kelly? All right. I need to
gonna
make sure
take
I
a
get it
minute.
right. Yes, it's going to take a while. All those in favor of the motion to ratify the aforementioned selections, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose, the ayes have it. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations to those two individuals. I saw the silent clap there.
There you go.
Moving on to 5C. This is proposed resolution number R24-052. Appoint a city commission representative and alternate to the countywide intergovernmental coordination program. Currently, who do we have? Let me just give me a moment. Currently, it is you. All right. Is there anyone here that would like to nominate themselves or someone to serve on that board?
Mayor, I would like to stay on that board. If
The
we can.
Intergovernmental
Yeah.
Coordination Forum?
I feel like we meet so infrequently that I feel like we'd just get to doing something and then
I'll second.
changes, so.
All right. We have a motion for Commissioner Amy Kelly to serve as a representative, and we have a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those, motion passes unanimously. All right. Item D, 5D, proposed resolution
Need an
R24.
alternate?
And I'm sorry, you are correct. We need an alternate. Is there anyone here that would like to serve as an alternate?
I was the alternate. I'm okay with staying on.
With staying on as well?
unless-
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All those in favor of appointing her as the alternate to the Intergovernmental Coordination Program, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say no. All right, motion passes unanimously. We're moving on to D, proposed resolution R24-053, appoint a city commission representative and alternate to the Coalition of Boynton West Residents Association, or COBRA. Is there anyone here that would like to make a nomination?
That's the League of Cities?
No, this is the COBRA. We're in the COBRA item.
Okay.
I'll nominate Commissioner Cruz.
Commissioner Cruz, is that something you'd accept?
Thank you for the nomination. I think they meet early morning, and I have to take PTO from work to go to TPA meetings already. How often? And that was a question that I made city clerk during agenda review. Like, how often do they meet to have those parameters?
I have the same issue. They meet, it's the third Wednesday, and then the TPA meets the third Thursday, so it's 2 mornings in a row, which has become a conflict for me too, to have each of those have to be
And they
linked.
last for a while.
They do.
Yep.
And I have to use PTO for these meetings. I can't
So,
just go. So
with that-
I would like to, I apologize, but I will have to decline the nomination. I would be open to being an alternate, so it's like from time to time, but I can't commit to doing it every single.
Okay, so you as an alternate, you know who we're looking at.
Okay.
Woodrow.
Okay.
Would you like to serve as our representative?
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right, so we have Commissioner Woodrow Hay as our representative and our alternate Commissioner Angela Cruz. All those in favor of the motion for the aforementioned individuals say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to E, proposed resolution number R24-054, appoint a city commission representative and alternate to the Palm Beach County League of Cities. Any nominations from anyone?
I would like to.
You want to stay?
Sir.
And I'll
Yes,
stay
on
as
that.
alternate?
Yes.
All right, yeah, I'm good with that.
All right, we have a motion, Woodrow Hay as our primary representative, Thomas
Second.
Durkin. All right, we have a motion, a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All right, all those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're moving through. F, proposed resolution R24-055, appoint a city commission representative and alternate to the Transportation Planning Agency, formerly known as the MPO. Any nominations?
Nominate Commissioner Cruz. She's been pretty productive with that, and I think stability is important. You know, we've gotten some dollars back, so I think you've been doing a good job.
Over $2 million
There
back
you go.
from the
There
county.
you go.
FDOT.
So let's.
And anyone for alternate?
I can,
You gonna take it?
yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we have Angela Cruz as the primary representative, Amy Kelly as our alternate. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. We're moving on to item 5G, advisory board appointments, and let me pull that up. I'm going to go through the list to make sure everyone is aware of what the openings are. We have openings in the Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals, in the CRA Advisory Board, in the Employee Pensions Plan Board of Trustees. For the Education and Youth Advisory Board, it is my nomination. We have one applicant for Megan Wilkinson for the alternate position, and I nominate Ms. Wilkinson. Is there a second to my nomination?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of appointing Megan Wilkinson to the alternate position on the Education and Youth Advisory Board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, wherever she is. Best of luck. Moving on to Historic Resources Preservation Board. It is a quasi-judicial board. We have openings there. The Library Board has openings. Now moving on to Recreation and Parks Board, we have one applicant. It is Dr. Pachilli, Phyllis Pachilli, and it is my nomination for the regular position, and I do nominate her. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of the motion to appoint Dr. Phyllis Pachilli to the regular position of the Recreation and Parks Board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion passes unanimously. And the Senior Advisory Board also has openings. That concludes item 5G. We're now moving on to consent agenda.
One thing about the advisory boards.
Yes.
So, one thing I was talking to staff about, I know the city manager has been discussing about a beautification team upcoming in this budget. And so I don't know if we want to potentially have some type of beautification board that can work with this team, you know, maybe citywide, and identify, you know, where the opportunities are. I know that federal corridor is a big one, you know, that we hear from both my district and your district, Commissioner Hay. So just wanted to throw that out there and see what everyone thinks. I know Ms. Orr's been extremely vocal about that, and, you know, I think we have an opportunity to, you know, make this come to fruition.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Excuse me, Commissioner.
It's gonna
take a while.
month.
Yes.
Take a month.
I think that's a great idea. And one of the questions, you know, I'm glad you said that because I'm actually thinking along the same lines. And one of my questions is, when is it appropriate? And maybe this is something we'll have to come back to in a future discussion, to have an advisory board versus a committee or a task force. You know, it depends on the purpose, the duration, the scope, and all of these things. So that might warrant a further discussion. But I think it's really important for them to have public input on that.
Maybe something even a little bit different than a board is what you're saying?
It doesn't exactly. It doesn't have to be in an advisory board with you know, all the usuals.
Yeah.
It's something to be discussed, but I'm happy to have that conversation. I also want to add, I'm glad you paused us for a moment. I would like to ask all of you who are representing us to these various meetings to just keep track of your schedule of these meetings. So if someone's not able to go, that staff can send the alternate. Sometimes we don't know who's going, not going, and we don't know to send the alternate or not to send the alternate. So just please keep in touch with the city manager or Dadina to keep track of that. Okay, all right. Consent agenda. let me just flip through. Is there anything here that, remember that we have removed H. Let's, go ahead, Commissioner. Cruz.
I wanted to pull item 6B and.
6B.
Yep.
Yeah. But in response to the public comment, I was wondering if the board would be in favor of adding this to a future meeting so that we can get public input.
Absolutely.
And allow people to have time to review the strategic plan.
I think that's a good idea.
Yep.
I think it'll
So-
be.
Agree. So postpone 6B,
So the
allow
re-
for a public workshop.
The request would be a tabling, so
Table,
it
yep.
would be at the next meeting.
Yes, Mayor. So, well, I was considering of removing it from consent and making it an actual item on the agenda to be addressed, like a.
New
what do we call
business
it?
kind of.
New business administrative,
Old
and then
business,
moving it maybe a month from now. So like the first meeting in May to give people maybe like a month to review
And
the
then to get
strategic
public
plan
input
and
at
to
that
be able
meeting?
to get public input.
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable with that. The motion would be, it sounds like a request to table to that said date of that meeting, and that's sufficient time for people to review it and come back with their comments.
And to remove it from consent and put it
And
under
yes.
administrative
Yes.
or new item or something.
Yeah, because it warrants further discussion. I agree.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor, you're,
Just for clarification, my thought is removing it, just like you said, Commissioner, and then allowing for a public workshop or a charrettes so the public can speak about this after they review. Because if we postpone it, allow time to review, some people may have already reviewed this, but if we're not going to establish a forum where we can receive some feedback, maybe it's super comprehensive, maybe it's something that we can work on, why are we tabling it? So I think we need to have some sort of forum. And to clarify, there was a few forums and there was opportunity for feedback, so I'm gonna look at the coin on both sides here. But I don't see the harm as long as it's done prior to the budget processing is the timeline I'm thinking of. So that's kind of my thoughts. I don't know where y'all are at as far as that goes.
I guess my question is, I'm not opposed in principle to a workshop for lengthier discussions, but I suppose it depends also on what's on the agenda, because if the goal is to get public input, you can still have public input at a regular meeting. The question is, how many other things do we have at that meeting? City Manager, it looks like you're about to chime in. Go ahead.
I just want to point out that that was put together by a third party, Lyle Summit. So we would also have to coordinate his schedule if once we get additional comment back from the public, if there's any changes that the board wishes to make, then we would also have to see what his availability is. So that's just one other variable in the equation that we'd have to put together.
All right, so you're telling us it's difficult to set a date because it really depends on his
Correct.
availability?
Correct.
Okay.
Just to add something real quick, and thank you for that feedback. If we add it to a future meeting and we make it an item to be discussed, we will be able to receive public comment, and that at that point, the commission can discuss whether we agree or don't agree with the comments, and then we can wait for the consultant to kind of work on those updates and bring it back to a future meeting. So that's a way that we could do it without needing another meeting in addition to all the meetings that we, usually have. But it's up to the.
No, I agree with Commissioner Cruz. That's a better approach, I think.
Okay. And so the motion here is to table, but we don't know the exact date, and to be brought back by
I
staff.
suggested for the first meeting in May, if the
think
commission
we'll-
agrees, just to allow
Enough
people to look
time.
at it and bring public comment, and then once they make that public comment, we can, review it with Lilac Summit and kind of like make the changes that we need to make at that point. But the whole point is just to allow people to speak on it and tell us what they want to see.
Yeah, we can put it as a discussion item, and then once we get the public feedback, that's fine. So it shouldn't be an issue. We could make that work.
Any other comments or questions or on this?
Just very brief, Mayor.
Yes,
Just,
go ahead.
I agree. I think that the resolution portion, I don't want to run into a situation where this entire agenda item is just moved to the other agenda item, where then we're not giving an opportunity to actually, but I hear that, I think that's the consensus, is that we'll hear public comment, we'll hear our comments, we'll see a presentation or see the strategic plan be presented, and then the actual item will be heard and finalized at a later date once any changes that are made either by the commission or by the public gets incorporated in what was already proposed. Is that, I mean, because I don't want this to just get tabled to May 5th and then we're sitting there, we hear public comment, we get public input, and then we're approving a resolution that there's no changes that are being accepted or changed. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, that this actual agenda item as the resolution will not be necessarily on the next meeting. That next meeting will be a presentation of the strategic plan for discussion by the public and us, and then this actual agenda item will be the other meeting in May or whenever the changes are ready.
My question goes to, thank you, Vice Mayor. My question goes to our city attorney. Would a more appropriate motion be to simply strike this, to amend the agenda to strike this item and staff can just bring it back up when at that date? Or what would be the appropriate motion? What would be to accommodate the request?
You can table it pending further discussion, or you can strike it, whichever.
Okay. But to her point, I just want to make sure that the understanding here is it's not a carbon copy because we're taking public comment, all right? Okay. All right. Council says either one, so it'll be sufficient. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I made it earlier, so yeah.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion to table, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose, motion passes unanimously. Were there any other requests to pull any other items under consent? Going once, going twice. With that, may I have a motion to approve the remainder of consent agenda?
moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cruz, a second from Vice Mayor Kelly. All those in favor of the motion to approve the remainder of consent agenda say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. All right. We're now moving on to consent bids and purchases over $100,000. Are there any requests to pull any items?
I'd like to pull item 7C, please.
7C. All right, any other requests besides 7C? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the remainder of consent bids and purchases?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those who oppose, the motion passes unanimously. Now let's address 7C. This is proposed resolution number R24-073, approve and award bid and insurance and issuance of purchase order to Inliner Solutions LLC for the Boynton Lakes Boulevard Gulf View Harbor Cure-In Place Pipe Lining Project. City Man, I assume this is Mr. Guzman's domain?
Right.
All right.
He's coming.
Oh,
This is Dr. Calkett.
Dr. Calcott, okay.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Poonam Calkett, Utilities Director. This project is to basically line some of our pipes in those areas, and cured in place lining just means it's inside the pipe, so you don't have to do an open cut for some of the infrastructure. So if I can answer any questions, be happy to.
No, just my question was, thank you for explaining what it is, so it's not going to disrupt any of the paving projects per se.
Very minimal disruption with cured in line.
And do we know when this would be started and completed?
As soon as we get the commission approval, we will issue a notice to proceed and a PO, and we'll start working on it as soon as possible. So in the next couple of weeks, we should be able to get them started off. I don't know exact dates, but we can get you that information.
Thank you so much. That's
You're
all I
welcome.
needed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Was there anyone else on the dais for Dr. Calcott? All right, may I have a motion to approve item 7C?
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner, and we have a second, I don't know who was first. Commissioner Hay, all those in favor of the motion to approve item 7C, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Calcott. We're now moving on to public hearing. First, we'll begin with swearing in. for all relevant parties, and this is for all
All right,
items.
Mayor, did
Yes.
you do the remainder of consent for,
I thought we did.
I thought you addressed C first and didn't do A, B, D, E, and F.
I thought we did too.
Did you? I'm sorry, I apologize.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I'm glad you're checking. It's better to check.
Yeah.
But we did. Maylee, is that correct? Yes, we did. Okay. So this is the public hearing portion of the agenda. We're going to begin with the swearing in for all items in this section for public hearing. City Clerk.
If anyone is here to speak on items A8 through K, please stand up and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may have a seat.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to begin next with disclosures, and we're going to address relevant items on the agenda together. For example, items 8A, B, C, and D are all related items, so we will have disclosures around the dais on items 8A, B, C, and D. Vice Mayor Kelly, would you like to begin?
Thank you. Yes, so as to, do you want me to repeat as to matters?
Yes.
8A, B, C,
And D.
E,
We're going to do those four together first, and we'll do disclosures for the others later.
but then we have E2 as the south, and then F.
E,
those are
F,
all
and
sep-
G
oh, 'cause it's
are
a different
separate
building?
group. Mm-hmm.
Got it, perfect.
I'll guide us through it, no worries.
Thank you. I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications with regard specifically to the agenda items. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, and I have not received expert opinions. I request that these written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Hay?
Also on items A through D, as of this matter, I have not had ex parte communication. I have not received, I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinion. I request that these disclosures are all written communication be made per record.
Thank you, Commissioner Hay. As for myself, again, for items 8A through D, as to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions outside of our city staff. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record. Commissioner Turkin.
Thank you, Mayor. As to this matter, 8A through 8D, I have not had ex parte communications with the principal. I have received a written communication from a resident, Flynn Holland, regarding the town square portion. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions regarding these matters. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. Commissioner Cruz.
As to this matter, I have had ex parte communications only with residents. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, and I have not received expert opinions outside of city staff. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to turn back now to our city clerk to read the titles for the record. And again, we're addressing items 8A through D together. Also, we'll be addressing public comments for items 8 through D together. Maylee, please begin.
Okay, item 8A is approved development order for request for a community design appeal for Town North Parcel Part 3, Chapter 4, Article 3, Section 6F2D of the Land Development Regulations, which requires the integrated parking garage to be wrapped by habitable floor to allow the south facade to the garage to not be wrapped with habitable floor area. B is approved development order request for height exception for Town Square North parcel to allow the peak of the architectural tower features of Town Square North parcel mixed-use project to be constructed at 106 feet, 10 inches, 7 feet, 10 inches above the maximum allowable height of 99 feet in the MU3 zoning district with participation in the city's workforce housing program. C is approved the development order for the request for a variance for Town Square North parcel footnote 3 of Table 3-23 defined in Part 3, Chapter 3, Article 3, Section 5C1 of the Land Development Regulations requiring the building height to be a maximum of 45 feet on any street frontage to allow the south side of the parking of parking garage, which is 82 feet 10 inches in height, to be situated within the street frontage. And D is to approve the development order for requests for a major site plan modification for Boynton Beach Town Square North parcel to construct 433 multifamily residential units, 16,908 square feet of commercial area, associated recreational amenities, and a parking garage on a 3.7 acre site in the MU3 zoning district.
Thank you. I know that was a mouthful, but it was necessary. With that, we're going to hear from the applicant. Afterwards, we'll hear from staff. All right, let's hear from, I'm sorry, we're going to do staff will be the kickoff for this item. That's right. Thank you for the reminder. Go ahead. One second. All right, try again.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioner. My name is Jae-Yeon Kim with Planning and Zoning. I'm here to provide a quick overview of Town Square history and master plan prior to site plan presentation, which will be provided by the applicants. It's the first slide. I can do it. As we know, the Town Square is a product of a participation between the city, CRA, and then private development team. In 2018, city approved the current MXMM land use classifications, mixed use 3, zoning designations, and the master plan. In the same year, phase 1 of the master plan, which includes the city hall, library, amphitheater, parks, were approved and completed in 2020. In February last year, Time Equity obtained approval of the major modification to Town Square Master Plan. Subsequently, Time Equity entered the development agreement, parking lease agreement, and other associated agreements with the city. In November last year, Time Equity submitted site plan applications for the north and then south parcels. These site plans you will hear tonight is the product of the master plan approved last year as a phase 2 and a phase 3. Concurrently, in January this year, Time Equity submitted minor modification to the master plan reflecting minor changes proposed under site plan applications for north and south parcels. Next slide, we will go over the changes in depth. The total residential units remain the same, 898 units under these minor modifications. The applicant proposed to change the unit allocations slightly between north and then south parcels. The applicant proposed also to increase the commercial spaces from 38,504 square foot to 38,724 square foot, resulting in 220 square feet increase. The parking spaces for each parcels are provided as required per LDRs. 473 parking spaces designated for city and civic use will be provided in the parking garages on the north and the south parcels as approved in the master plan last year. That concludes my presentations. The applicants are here to present the site plans in details, but staff is here for any questions.
You can just. Can we go back to that last slide, please?
Sure.
Let's kind of rush through that, thanks.
Commissioner Turkin, did you have a question for staff?
Yeah, I do, but I need to just review the slide.
Maybe it's not going back. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah.
You got it? All right. So thank you so much, and let's turn to the applicant.
I would present from over there, but I always present from this side, so it'd be awkward. Good evening. My name is Bradley Miller with Urban Design Studio, and I'm here representing the applicant, Time Equities, on this project, the south parcel, as well as the north parcel, which we're going to start with. And before I get started, I want to say personally, and I know from Robert Singer from Time Equities, your staff has been incredible, assisting us as we've gone through this. The development agreement that was approved a year ago was a partnership between the two, and that truly showed between your team from Andrew and Adam and Amanda and Jayoon and Shiloh. Everybody in the group was just fantastic, and can't say enough to help us get to this point. In a transition from the city's presentation, this first slide is really comparing some of the key components to what we had before. And the emphasis of this is that we want to show that we are actually below maximums where there are maximums. For instance, we could have 962 units here, we're at 898. Density is below, FAR is below. And then likewise, when there are minimums, we're exceeding those minimums. Number of parking spaces being the most important. And the 473 parking spaces that Jayoon spoke of earlier are being provided, split amongst the two parking garages in the project. So what I'm going to do here is we have this all in one presentation for the north, so I'll give that and then give pause for you to deliberate on the north parcel, and then we'll continue with the south when you're ready with that. So with the north parcel, the requests that are before you tonight, there are four different applications that are part of this. One being the most major part is the site plan modification itself. It's called a modification because of the prior approvals that were on the property, and now we're amending it. But it truly is a new development from the old prior days. I'll just leave it at that. We believe it's far improved. In addition to that, there's a height exception, which is, you've heard me say before, it's a little awkward because the code allows you to have appurtenances of architectural structure above the height, but you have to come and ask for your approval. I don't think I've ever represented one where it doesn't make the building look better to do it, so which you'll see. The other is a community design appeal, which pertains to the habitable space that your dear clerk here was struggling with, and getting that out, and I'll explain that. And then the last is a variance also that just pertains to a portion of the parking garage to be able to get all those parking spaces in there that we need for not only this development, but for all of Town Square. For the site plan itself, this is the ground level floor of the north parcel. The primary residential access comes off of Boynton Beach Boulevard, which is at the top of the screen. The gray massing in the middle is the parking garage, which has two entrances off of Northeast First Avenue. There are 1,052 parking spaces in that garage. There are 433 residential units in this building. The commercial space is 16,908 square feet, which is an increase from what the original master plan from a year ago. So in the final designs and maneuvering, that actually increased. And out of the 473 total spaces that are for the city and public use, there are 249 of those spaces that are incorporated into this garage. The red areas on the screen are the commercial space, which you can see are focused on Boynton Beach Boulevard and around the corner at Seacrest. The yellow area are residential units that are on the ground floor, and then, of course, as you go up, the residential units are included and wrap the whole building on the 7 floors above this. It's a total of 8 stories. The blue area is all amenity space for the residents of different types of meeting rooms, fitness, gym, all the amenities that you can imagine in that space. The 2 green areas are courtyard spaces, outdoor space. The one to the right is a little more active with a pool area, barbecues, that type. And then the one to the left-hand side is more of a passive. It does have some amenity features to it as well, but a great place to read a book. There's also I think this is a great amenity that I think each of you saw when you visited Casa del Mar in their other Time Equity's other project, that they have a co-work space in there, which is the top left blue space that for residents to be able to use that as part of their working daily life, which seems to be all of us these days. This just puts a little more illustration to it. The entire perimeter is lined with the pedestrian zone area that meets code and actually exceeds code in a lot of places. It was actually a challenge for us to work all that in because we've got the DOT project for Boynton Beach Boulevard that goes along the front. So it was their plan plus the city requirements and our workings, all of that coordinated to get to this point. So around the perimeter, there's approximately 18 to 20 feet of pedestrian space with street trees, paved areas. There's little courtyard seating areas that correspond with the commercial space. So, for example, you could have a commercial restaurant, and then right next to it, there's a couple of spaces right along Boynton Beach Boulevard that have that court space, which you'll see in some renderings here in a moment. And again, it's showing the commercial space and the different uses as you wrap around the building. Yeah, move into the variants. On the south side, this little exhibit is actually the south component of the garage space. The area that's in yellow extends out. And actually, what code says is that you can build to that line, but you go to 45 feet in height, and then you step it back 10 feet, and then continue up. For the rest of the building, and code allows us as well, we've just taken that 10 feet and stepped it back at the grade level and then go up from there. But for the garage, to be able to get the number of spaces in there, we needed that additional 10 feet of space. So that the yellow area there is the extent of the garage extending to the south. Across from that is the park and the backside of the cultural center on the other side of First Avenue. So there's some relief there. It's not Part of the reason for having this requirement is to avoid a tunnel effect, if you will, of buildings right up on the property lines and having that tunnel effect, which you won't have here because of the park and the cultural center that's already there. So that's the purpose of the variance. It's something that we've discussed thoroughly with staff. You can see there that they're requesting or recommending approval. We're requesting the approval. They're recommending the approval of the variance, and that explains that component of it. The community design appeal is also related to that same yellow strip where the garage comes out. So what code says is that if you build a garage, the desire is to have habitable space, residential space, all the way around it. So you have the garage immersed into the building. There's a couple of issues with that, the biggest being circulation and ventilation for the garage, and again, to get the number of spaces, which to get it in there, we have it on the exterior. We've shown this. I show this slide because actually I thought about leaving the yellow, the little yellow box out and make you all guess where the parking garage is. Maybe take the word parking off as well. But architecturally, it's been prepared in a way that it blends in with the rest of the architecture. It's just a continuation of the architecture. But those horizontal spaces, the dark spaces within that yellow box, are openings in the garage for proper ventilation for the garage space. So that's the purpose of the community design appeal. And again, I've gone through this with staff, and they are in support of it as well. The height exception, I touched on it before. We meet the, in fact, we're well below. For the north building, we could have gone up as high as 99 feet. We are at 82 feet at the roof deck, where their 99 feet is actually measured. So we're well below that. But then to get these architectural features above it and to be of a scale that goes with the massing of the building and to provide, in my opinion, a very beautiful building, I think those tower features create a great amenity. We have a parapet there, so if there's mechanical equipment that ends up onto the roof line, that will be screened from, I don't know who's going to be able to see it on the top of the 8th floor, but that's some good eyes from the overpass of I-95 maybe, but that's really the purpose of it. So the height exception is to allow those architectural features that go up to just shy of 107 feet. And from a scale perspective, the elevation on the bottom of the screen really shows it well, that it doesn't seem like it's overbearing to the rest of the building, and actually accentuates the architecture and the horizontal and the vertical approach to the architecture to try to break up that building facade, because they are a block long. They're big buildings. So that's the height exception. This is just showing you some architecture. This is one of the little cutout cafe plaza areas that I was mentioning before. This is a rendering of the frontage of Boynton Beach Boulevard and how that's going to look from a streetscape standpoint. This gives you a bird's eye view from the southeast corner looking to the northwest. So the parking that you see there in the bottom left is the existing temporary parking that's there now. And the fire station is on the right-hand side. So it gives you a view of the architecture. This is looking at the corner of Boynton and Seacrest. You can see that we have different arcades and different heights that again break up the architecture. There's balconies and columns and awnings and all the architectural appurtenances that I can never come up with when I'm standing here. But they've covered it all. MSA as our architects have done a fantastic job of putting all this together. So that's the north parcel. I'll stop there. We're asking for your approval on the 4 items of the site plan, the height exception, the community design appeal, and the variance. I'm here. We've got other members of our team. Consultant team are here, and Mr. Singer came down from New York today to see this through. So our leader. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Bradley. We have now heard from the applicant, and I just want to remind everyone that we are addressing these agenda items in bulk. We are addressing items 8A through D for now, the north portion of the project, and next we will address the southern portion, E through G, in a separate portion of the meeting here. Is there anything else to be added, either from staff or the applicant? There is, okay. Go ahead.
Thanks to Jayoon. I put those slides in there for ticklers for me to stop talking, and this one has one more to go. We do have, and again, this is coming from staff working their butts off to get to this point. With the last few days, we've been working on the conditions of approval. The 2 that I have up there that we're asking be modified. The one on the left-hand side pertains to engineering comments. It's predominantly just cleaning up the language that's in it. It was really from a standpoint of comments as opposed to conditions. And so we went through those again, working with staff on doing it, both engineering and planning and zoning staff to do this strikeout and underline component of the conditions. I don't know if you want me to go through them specifically, or?
Do we have a request from the commission to go through them specifically? Okay.
All good?
Yes.
The other one on the right-hand side is utilities, which is pertaining to trying to anticipate restaurant space. We're going to be able to do that much easier once we have a building in place and actual tenants working. So we just added some language there that the grease traps would be provided once we know what the interior build-out and the actual use is going to be. So nothing earth-rattling here. It's really just cleaning them up so it's a better record.
Okay.
Now I think I'm done.
Okay. Again, this is only for the north parcel. Go ahead.
Staff is in support for those modifications to the condition of approval.
All right, thank you so much. We've heard from the applicant, we've heard from staff. We're going to turn now to public comment. Again, for anything from 8A through D, the northern parcel. If you would like to speak specifically on those items, 1 second.
Yes,
let me switch the timer 1 second, sir. All right, you may begin.
1 minute, 2 minutes?
Same, always 3 minutes. 3 minutes per
Okay,
person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Blas, 113 Tara Lakes Drive, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33436. First, I want to say a sentence. I feel we have a wonderful mayor, and he came under attack. So I apologize to you for the whole city. But now, talking about this presentation, I actually have to not be a nice guy. I feel the area of Boynton Beach that we're discussing, according to my estimate, is worth about $1 trillion. This is the very heart of our city, and we can do much better than that. I will, those of you who have known me for a while, including Woodrow, hey, you know, I would like to have a University of Boynton. Now that has been spoken about and ignored for 15 years, but once we sacrifice the best land of Boynton, it's very hard to place a university. So I would like to speak in opposition to this plan. I think it is making this land with proper height is worth $1 trillion. I can prove it to you. We're probably selling it out to somebody for $1 billion or $2 billion. It's a waste of space. I would like to see in this area, University of Boynton. I would like to see a magnet school, which is badly needed in your district. The young people need a magnet school of very high quality. Right now, we're sending them to Henderson. I would like to see a research center for quantum computing. I would like to see a center for green energy. And I'm not an artist, but I am not impressed by the architecture. I work with the best architect in the world, Liebeskind. He's the guy who, the people from New York know, he built the 1776 tower. We can do much better than that. So I know I'm throwing a monkey wrench. Everybody has been working hard, but working hard is not an excuse. It doesn't mean that you're working well. Okay, I think the vision of what Boynton could, and I'm running for mayor. When I'm mayor of Boynton, Boynton will be a university city of the highest quality with the best architecture. This is nothing like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person, state your name for the record. Begin when you're ready.
Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. I think it's no great surprise that I'm against this, or at least parts of it. So I have been looking forward to us finally putting something in that's nice. I have reminded you repeatedly, including just sending all of you an email in the last few minutes, about how the residents of Boynton Beach voted for a 45-foot height limit. They actually voted for it. It's in your charter. Please stop violating the charter of the city of Boynton Beach. And approximately 90% of the residents, if not more, I don't remember, it's back in the late 80s, voted for this. So, you know, you're violating the majority of the population's rule, what they said they wanted. Second of all, I hate seeing more apartments coming in, and not just because I'm a realtor, but, you know, we have more apartments than any place in Palm Beach County. How many times do we have to say that over and over? You have created your own housing problem by continuing to have apartments and not condos or townhomes where you can put people on the property market. How can you buy something if there's nothing to buy? Get rid of the apartments and switch them over. Next up, I'm going to say that we should have more jobs. This should be, you know, something that has business spaces for businesses to come in. We need to be bringing in big ticket jobs. I mean, Kelly Smallridge is constantly saying, what can we do for Boynton Beach? You're not giving her something to do. How can we sell Boynton Beach if all you're doing is putting in apartments and not putting in industry or putting in jobs? How are we getting our share of the hedge funds that are going into West Palm? That West Palm's now the hedge fund capital of the United States. It's no longer the tri-state area up north. It's here. Are we getting that money? Are we getting those businesses? No, we are not, because we're building more stupid frickin' apartments instead of having jobs, putting jobs in, or putting in condos where people can actually afford to buy to move. Last of all, while Bradley always does an amazing job, and I'm not criticizing what he's put forward, the colors are boring. They say nothing to Boynton Beach. Where's the blues and greens that we all sat there in a workshop and voted saying, including Commissioner Katz at the time, we all agreed everything should be blue and green and should be oceany looking. Nothing about this says ocean or Boynton Beach. And that also ties along with the style. Why, if we're going to build something, let's build something so freaking unique that everybody has to put it on their agenda on things to come visit Boynton Beach, is to see a unique style. You know, whether it's making it in a boat shape or a circle shape or do something different. You know, like look at the Bristol in West Palm. You go there because it's really way cool to look at. Is this way cool, different, exciting, whatever? No, it's not. I think we need to take this back to the table. If you're going to force this on it, then at least give us something pretty and unique and distinctive. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next public comment speaker.
I just want to make sure if anyone is going to speak on public comment, if you haven't been sworn in, to please make sure you're sworn
Yes,
in.
I was here, I was sworn in, stood up, sworn in.
Thank you.
My name is Jim Knight, 740 Havana Drive, Boca Raton. I live in Boca. Family was raised, my younger sister was born here at Bethesda. And I'm a property owner in Boynton for over 20.
1 second, I'm going to pause your time. All right, I just want to make sure. All right, go ahead, Jim, you may continue.
I'm a property owner in Boynton for over 20 years. A partner in properties here, not that I own outright myself. for in excess of 20 years, and a while back, this went to RFP. I remember that City Hall was being built, and it was over on the waterfront, which was beautiful to have City Hall meetings over there and so forth. Someone was selected. That group didn't have the wherewithal to pull this off. I believe the right company is here. I've never spoken to them, never spoken to anybody involved with it, had no interest any way, shape, or form. I'm very excited as a property owner here in Boynton for this to come forward. It reminds me a little bit of the Palmetto Promenade in Boca Raton on Palmetto Park Road, except I like the architecture here better. I live in Boca Raton, and I like this architecture here better. This is something that's been in the works for a very long period of time, and the only two questions I have is a curiosity here. One is the timing of getting Boynton Beach Boulevard by DOT and their work done out there, and the timing for the construction of this project, because it's something that's long needed. And we all talk, I heard some comments about the hedge fund capital West Palm, and I happen to know a little bit about what's been going up there because a person that works with me in my office, his son's number 3 at Ross Steve Ross's company Related New York. And yes, they're the hedge funds. Those guys that own the companies, they're buying homes and building homes anywhere from $50 million to $450 million, which was just an assemblage by Citadel, by Ken Griffin. But those employees live throughout Palm Beach County. And being able to have some of their employees that they don't start at small salaries, they're talking pretty high salaries to start at, to have them live in the backyard is a huge positive. And I think they will add a great deal of interest to the community and so forth. And I think this is an exciting project, and it'd be great if someone had any answers about the timing of those two projects, meaning the roadway as well as the project. I certainly support it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I see another person approaching the podium. Again, we are on items 8A through D. All right, state your name for the record.
Were you sworn in?
I was not Kevy DeFrank.
Thank you. Maylee, can you please swear him in?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right.
So for these items, I am in support of this mixed-use project. I think it's an awesome project, and I think it would be a great benefit for the community. I just have one question. How many affordable or workforce housing units are being proposed? If that can be answered, and that's it.
So during this time, it's not a Q&A.
Okay.
But in a public hearing, however, they will be able to come up after all the public comment has concluded. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comment speakers? Again, items 8 through A. All right. State your name for the record and begin when you're ready, sir.
Steve Muckerman, I'm not sworn in.
Oh, all right.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Yeah, I think this...
State your name for the record again?
Yeah, it's Steve Muckerman, and I apologize if I'm dressed. I kind of came here impromptu. But I think it's a flattering gesture that people from all over the country want to build something here in our area. I think that speaks volumes that we have something that people want, and it should be used very wisely. With that said, I'm all for redevelopment. The only concern I have is that a lot of apartments around here, apartments tend to be migratory, so I kind of think that we should kind of use this land very wisely and get more condos and perhaps single-family homes. Delray Beach is people stacked on top of people like Cordwood. There's a lot of traffic there. So I would encourage us to use our scarce land wisely and not get too many souls in here, which wreaks a lot of traffic. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for in-person public comment speakers. I will take it this is the last individual in the audience. All right.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, as a good point that was
State
heard.
your name for the record, sir.
Oh, Cameron Maharaj, Boynton Beach, resident, 18 years, all my life, oh geez. So, as a good point that she said with the influx of private equity into our neighborhoods where they're gaining the most benefit out of this. And what she really said that really, what do the residents gain from this? You know, when we have a lot of these apartments, like he just referenced Delray, it's just horrible over there. The traffic, the amount of people trying to go through that one little street. What do the residents of Boynton Beach gain from this? And I don't really see the value. So when we're talking about, let's say, the single-family houses, we have people having the option to own. But when these apartments just keep on coming in, and Boynton is the most apartment city, it's ridiculous because people don't have any chance to own the property that they live in for these years. And then looking at, let's say, their other development in West Palm that he was boasting about, the average rate for a 2-bedroom right now is $1,800. And that doesn't really balance out with the medium income for a Boynton Beach resident at the moment. And I just want to see where this is going to go for affordable housing units and how is that going to help out for the small businesses around us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that was the last person in the audience. I'm looking online, and there is no one with their digital hands raised. With that, public comment is now closed. Now I will invite staff and the applicant back up for any final comments or responses. And then we will open the floor for questions from the commission.
Timeline of the project?
I'll go first. Again, Bradley Miller here for the applicant. I'll touch on a couple of questions here. To Mr. Knight's question, the Boynton Beach Boulevard project was initiated for construction in December, so that's to be started soon, and they give it 18 months, 24 months to move forward. As far as this project goes, the plan is that we would actually start with the south parcel. Since there's a temporary parking on the north parcel, that would give time for Boynton Beach Boulevard to be worked on. The temporary parking is there. It would give the garage space quicker to City Hall coming from the south. There's a lot of variables, as everybody I think in the room knows of what's going on, but ideally, we'd like to be under construction in 2025 for the south parcel. We haven't talked about the south parcel yet. And then the north parcel would follow afterwards. There is a question about the workforce housing units. There's this project, there's 122, 61 in the north, 61 in the south, 122 total for the two properties of workforce units that aren't necessarily going to be in the project, but there's the payment in lieu that would go into the workforce housing fund here in the city to help continue that effort. I think those are the points that I wanted to address.
All right, thank you. Anything from staff in response?
I just wanted to follow up on that last comment. So while there won't be the construction of workforce housing units, they are participating in the city's workforce housing program through the pay in lieu of program. By staff's estimates, the north and the south would be responsible for a payment of about $2.2 million into the housing trust fund, which is then used to fund programs and workforce housing that the city is responsible for.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to turn now to the dais for any questions or comments, either for staff or the applicant. So if both of you could just stay at the podium. I'll begin, it doesn't matter. Let's begin with Vice Mayor Kelly. If you have any questions, you're ready?
You're on it.
We could go on the other side, that's okay too.
No, I don't necessarily have any questions. I think all my questions were answered. I had a separate meeting with Amanda, and I think I'm good.
Good,
Thank
all
you.
right. Commissioner Hay.
I noticed you had some cutouts on Boynton Beach Boulevard. I saw just the one which is where tables they were eating. Is it just the one on that north side?
There's actually two along that north side.
Two?
Plus three. Three along that north side.
Okay, so you're anticipating
And there's
more than one restaurant type on the north?
Yes,
side?
I would say so. We, honestly, we don't know what that number is. It's a ways down the road to be able to put tenants into place, but it would be more than one. And there's a 3 along Boynton, there's 1 on Seacrest, plus the sidewalks themselves are 18 to 20 feet in width, which are really established to allow that outdoor space to function for restaurants as well as retail space. You can, if you want to bring your retail space out to the sidewalk on a daily basis, bring it back in type of scenario. So that's built into the project.
And I'm Robert Singer. Hi, how are you, Commission? Thank you so much for hearing us tonight. On that point, we're actually really excited about, because, the issue is that people want to be outside, but being on this with tables for restaurants, but being on the sidewalk is difficult. That doesn't really work. Being in the sun is difficult. So the architects came up with this interesting thing that's actually, it's done in Palm Beach all the time. We call it I don't know if we call it courtyard or whatever, but what it allows for is on-street seating, shade. It allows for a lot of activation. It's very beautiful, very Florida, very Palm Beach. And those are the types of things. It actually helps for logistics too, but those are the types of things that actually help us attract the good restaurants. Because the restaurants say, I want outdoor seating, and when we can give them those kind of courtyards, that helps. So we're excited about and very focused on delivering. I say generally, very focused on delivering what the city wants, what you set out to, and we think this is a great way to do it.
Very good, Robert. I also noticed that, I guess it's more of a question. I didn't see it on your picture, your diagram. Will there be any type of canopy over those? I know sometimes you want to move the table out a little bit, but sometimes the sun can be kind of hot. So if you had some type of, did I miss it?
Yeah, there's a loggia that sits over it. If you can you see it here?
Oh yeah, okay, I do see the top part there.
Yeah, and actually what you're seeing is one of the entrances to one of the retail stores, right? The glass doors on the side, but there's another store. So there's another store on the left. So each kind of courtyard is shared by 2 different stores. But this is a great solution for the city, for the restaurants, for us, for the patrons. This allows you to activate Boynton Beach without having to sprawl, people and chairs and whatever all over your new sidewalks.
Do you know, Robert, how far back the top that I'm looking at here at the top there is from the sidewalk, from the edge of your wall, exterior wall, and that little...
It's probably
That little roof part.
about 40 feet deep there.
About 40 feet?
40 to 45 feet deep, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The commercial space itself has to be 40 feet by code, so it's designed that way. And then we've got the arcade that comes out, so I'm probably being conservative at 45.
Very good. Okay. That's all I have for right now, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hay. Let's turn to Commissioner Turkin. Questions, comments for staff or the applicant?
Thank you, Mayor. Rob, Bradley, thank you guys for investing in the city. And, I got a couple points. The right for density. Thank you for not going to that max density. I think it's no secret that the great residents of Boynton Beach, especially District 3, do not like dense apartments. We don't want to be anything like West Palm Beach. We're Boynton Beach. And so I know that this was a complicated deal, and you guys took the deal regardless. And so I appreciate your investment into the city. One thing I do want to note for the public that I think is important that this commission had put forward were the impact fees prior. So this project is going to bring in $2.2 million in lieu of the workforce housing program to the city's workforce housing program, $1 million in art for the Arts Fund, $1.7 million for our Parks and Rec. That was something that Commissioner Cruz had brought up. And so I think that's huge for the public to know that, yes, there's investment, but what we're also doing is we're also increasing our budget, doing what we can to alleviate the burden on the taxpayers. And that's by working with, developers and making sure that, everyone pays their fair share. Also, we're getting over $360,000 from our police impact fee that I had brought forward. So I just want to commend my colleagues on the dais for making these wise decisions. These are things that probably should have been done a long time ago, and now we have the ability to generate and fund our budget in different avenues. So thank you for that.
Worried I may have to escort Mr. Singer back to a chair here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I
couldn't help the opportunity.
I think it's important to know that. However, I do have a couple questions, that were emailed to me, and so I just want to make sure I have those answers. As far as the potential commercial tenants, it's some time away, and it's always going to be market driven. What are you guys looking at as far as, and this could be answered for both the northern and the southern parcel, what are some of the commercial tenants you guys are looking at to fill in those spaces?
Well, I would say Casamara is a good example of what we're thinking about for here. Casamara, we had 8 spaces, and some of you have been there, some of you haven't, but it's sort of like we went out, we talked to the community, we talked to the markets, and we figured out we wanted a wine store, we wanted the coffee shop, we wanted the taco place, we wanted the interior design. We made sort of categories of what the community wanted, and then we went out and took our time to find what we thought was the right proprietor for each space. And it's been highly successful. In fact, actually, Guacago and Common Grounds came from Boynton Beach. Now they have their locations at Casamara, and those are the types of we moved Mecox on South Dixie to our place. Anyway, we found it would have been easy to fill it up with banks and med spas. We could have done that in 9 seconds, but we took our time. We listened to the community. We found the right people, and everybody is happy. Everybody, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. I can't tell you exactly who's going to show up, but I can tell you that that's how we're going to go into this. The retail is really what the community is getting here, and that's what we're going to deliver. And Time Equities, to sort of back the whole thing up, we own something like 20 million feet of retail around the country. We have great relationships, small operators, big operators, but this wants to be small operator, nice restaurants, and art galleries and things that engage the community. So that's the theory. We've done it. That's what our plan is.
Thank you, Rob. The next question I have is in terms to the parking, the public parking. What does that look like? What is the lease agreement between the city and Time Equities as far as metering and sharing that cost?
We signed those lease agreements when we did last year when we did the master plan, like full-blown leases for 100 years. 100-year leases, every single space identified exactly which one's metered, which one is not metered, which one can be. So the whole thing has been lawyered to the more legal dollars spent on these parking leases than I normally see. Amanda can speak to it if you want.
If you would like a rundown, I'm happy to give that to you.
That'd be great. Thanks, Amanda.
In the south parking garage, there will be 171 exclusive parking spaces with rights to the city, and there will be 53 non-exclusive parking spaces. So those are essentially shared. The city would have use Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 6:30, and then the idea is that those 53 spaces could transition to guest parking or something else overnight. But it's only 53 of them. 171 are exclusively the city's. This comes with no payment for the parking, but there will be a cost share a proportionate share cost to the city for the, for O&M, so for the operation and maintenance of them. In the north garage, we have 192 exclusive parking spaces, and we have 57 of those non-exclusive parking spaces. Again, no upfront payment, but a proportionate share O&M cost moving forward.
Thank you for that
And
clarification.
I would say it's worth mentioning that, I mean, building parking in this world is expensive. You know, all day long, if you asked a contractor, they would tell you it's like 30 grand a space to build structured parking. So I don't know what 30 grand times 473 is, but it's a lot. But that's the deal. That's the deal. That's what the city's getting on top of commercial, on top of the tax base, on top of the impact fees, on top of all of these things. But I think it's really important that the city, that we're partners, and you know, you didn't write this deal, I didn't write this deal, but it is the sort of the law, and we're all following the rules, and the city's getting what they bargained for, which I think is the most important thing, and getting it, I think, elegantly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Again, you know, make no mistake about it. My opinion of time equities is extremely high. You guys know what you're doing. You're investing a lot in the community, and you know, for me personally, you know, I think this is a great investment. But I'm not sitting in this chair for me. I'm sitting in this chair for the residents of District 3, 20,000 roughly voters, and you know, out of good faith, I have to not go with these variance requests. You know, I just couldn't look my voters in the face, and especially after hearing, you know, they're not for this. There was an issue from the beginning. But again, you guys are investing in the city, and, you know, me personally, I'm very happy that you guys did this deal. Obviously, the land was not cheap. It was marketed at a very high price, and you have to make the numbers work, right? You can't do anything if the numbers don't work, and I understand that fully.
And more to the and 100% agreed. And the other thing is, because you know, there's this, when are you going to build it? Because we paid
financing,
because we paid real money for the land, it does us. I mean, we're real builders. We just finished a skyscraper. We this is what we do. So it doesn't help anybody to sit on land. We happen to be fortunate that we have the capacity when markets are bad to wait until markets turn. We can't change the Fed. We can't change a million things. But what we've said to you all along is that we're gonna get this done as soon as it allows for. And to back that up, I mean, we said this last year. The development agreement allows 3 years for us to be where we are today. It allowed us 3 years to get our site plans approved, and we said we're going to come and we're going to do it, and we're going to work hand in hand with staff. And here we are 1 year later, and we're already into the next phases of planning and design. Our contractor's already talking to subs. The markets are very complicated these days. Weirdly, we do actually well when markets are sometimes wobbly, because we have the ability to finance when others don't most of the time. So, I mean, sort of wrapping a few different points together, but thanks for believing in us.
Yeah, listen. Again, it's completely nothing personal. I'm just doing my due diligence as a representative, and I know, and you've heard it earlier, there's the utmost faith that you guys are coming in, you're investing in the city. You know, I don't think there's a question about the capability or the quality of work that's going to be provided. So I just want you to know how I feel personally, and then my duty as a elected representative to serve my community. And those are all the questions I have, because you already answered the construction timeline. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. We're going to turn now to Commissioner Cruz.
All right. Just wanted to quickly discuss, or I know we talked about during the agenda review, of what the changes were of the proposed commercial space before and what it is now. Do you happen to have that?
I do. So in 2020, the last master plan amendment approved 34,000 square feet of commercial space.
Meaning when we started negotiations with this You might not have the number.
So all the way at the beginning, the original master plan with, under JKM? Is
No,
that the
no,
question?
no, no,
Yes,
never
so
mind.
yes,
No,
it
that's
was,
not-
it was the 34,000. That
Okay.
is correct. So it was 34,000. The current proposal is at 38,000.
Got it, okay, thank you. No, what I was referring to is when we started negotiations, I don't know if you remember, but the point I'm trying to make is that we made a significant impact in increasing the amount of commercial space. But I can't recall exactly what the original offered
Originally,
commercial
we
space.
had something like 7,000 square feet.
Right, thank you, that's the correct, thank you. Yep, so, something that I definitely.
Now, our two buildings combined for 23 or 24,000?
Yeah,
Yeah.
23,
24.
And then if you add the retail that's programmed
For
for
phase four.
for phase 4, then you get up to the
38.
38,000.
But just as it relates to our two parcels, not because we were trying to short anybody, but just because I don't know the design laid out, we probably showed up off the bat with 12 or 10 or something, and then people said, "Well, we'd like more," and we said, "Great, that's what this is about."
Right.
We listened, went back, and figured we're not asking for we're fully complying with all of the actually at the same time there was I believe there was from Commissioner Cruz there was new regulations as to street frontage of retail and activation and all this stuff, so then we had to sort of rejuggle all of that, and we're fully complying with everything.
Thank you. Yes, my point was I was going to commend the commission and the entire board because we did not have minimum square foot frontage for commercial spaces in the city of Boynton Beach. And this administration was able to pass that and create a minimum to make sure that in future commercial mixed-use developments have a minimum commercial frontage. So that was something that's important. It's something that made a big impact to the Town Square project, and it's something that I want to give credit to the entire commission. And yep,
And those rules came with also a 40-foot depth requirement, so that developers can't just do a 10-foot deep store to comply with the frontage.
Right.
So we had to dig 40 feet into the building, but we complied. And to be honest with you, it is the right thing to do, because then you can have real space, real retailers. There's height limits, there's depth limits, there's frontage, it's a very detailed policy that we followed to the letter, and we kicked and screamed a little bit, maybe, but it's Boynton is better for it, and the commission did
More
a good
than a
job
little
with that.
bit, though.
Thank you. No, just wanted to.
Maybe more than a little bit.
No, just wanted to celebrate something positive. I do know that the density is a bit high, but when looking at the land and the property rights that come with the land, it's something that is there, and it's something that, comes with the property as it is right now. So that is all I have. I think we've had previous discussions a long time ago, not recently, but I did get to ask all my questions to staff, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have now heard from the applicant, we've heard from staff, we've heard from the public. The applicant and staff had an opportunity to respond. The commission have asked all their questions. It is now time to vote. We are voting individually on items 8A through D, beginning with item 8A. And this is not an ordinance, so I will take a voice vote is sufficient. May I have a motion to approve item 8A?
So moved.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cruz, a second I heard from Commissioner Hay. All those in favor of approving item 8A say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose say no. All right, motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Turkin dissenting. All right, moving on to item 8B. May I have a motion to approve item 8B?
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hay to approve item 8B. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Vice Mayor Kelly. All those in favor of the motion to approve item 8B say aye. Aye. All those who oppose say no. All right, we have one dissent, so motion passes 4-1. The dissent came from Commissioner Turkin. Moving on to item 8C. May I have a motion? There it is, motion to approve came from Commissioner Hay. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor of the motion to approve item 8C, say aye. Aye. All those who oppose say no. Nay, okay. All right, motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Turkin dissenting. We're now moving on to item 8D. May I have a motion to approve item 8D?
So moved.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor. We have a second from Commissioner Hay. All those in favor of the motion to approve item 8D, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose? Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Turkin dissenting. Thank you so much, everybody. We are now going to proceed to the next series of items on the agenda, which is still pertaining to Town Square, but the southern parcel. And before we proceed any further, we are going to begin with disclosures on items E, F, and G. Let's go around the dais. Let's begin on the right. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Would it be disclosures like ever or like
For
last week?
items E, F, and G.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
We've had meetings before about this project, but not about the variances specifically.
Okay, sounds good. Vice Mayor? Again, these are disclosures for items E, F, and G. This is for the southern parcel.
As to these matters, 8, E, F, and G, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit, except for driving by it every week. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you,
And
Vice
this
Mayor.
is just specifically for
Those three.
these new 3 changes.
That is
Yeah.
correct. These 3 specific items. So it's not the project in general, it's just these 3. Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Hay.
As per items E, F, and G, as to this matter, I have not had ex parte communication. I have not received written communication. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a visit. I have not received expert opinion. I request that these disclosures and all written communication be part of the record.
Thank you. As for myself, regarding items 8E, F, and G, as to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions outside of staff. I request these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record. All right, moving on to Commissioner Turkin.
Thank you, Mayor. As to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have had received written communications via email. I have not conducted investigation. I have walked by this site hundreds of times. So on the way here, I have not received any expert opinion. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record. Before I forget, I just want to thank Time Equities again for putting that barrier around. After that storm, it looked horrible. So I think when it was brought forward, you guys got it done in like a few days. So I really appreciate that, and I know the community does too. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cruz.
Yeah, I request that these disclosures are all written communications be made part of the record. Thank you, Commissioner.
As to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions outside of city staff. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you so much, everyone. We're going to turn back now to our city clerk to read these items into the record. Again, 8E, F, and G. Maylee?
8E is approved development order request for Town Square South Parcel Community Design Appeal of Part 3, Chapter 4, Article 3, Section 6F2D of the Land Development Regulations, which require the integrated parking garage to be wrapped by habitable area to allow the north facade of the garage to not be wrapped with habitable area. 8F is approved the development order request for a Town Square South Parcel height exception to allow the peak of the architectural tower features of Town Square South Parcel mixed-use project to be constructed at 105 feet 7 inches, 18 feet 7 inches above the maximum allowable height of 87 feet in the MU3 zoning district with participation in the city's workforce housing program. And G is approve the development order request for a major site plan modification for Boynton Beach Town Square South parcel to construct 465 multifamily residential units, 6,816 square feet of commercial areas, associated recreational amenities, and a parking garage on a 3.8-acre site in the MU3 zoning district. The applicant is Robert Cantor and Boynton Beach Town Center Apartments 1 LLC.
All right, thank you so much. We thank you for that. We're going to turn now. You know the drill. Let's go to the applicant.
Good evening again, Bradley Miller with Urban Design Studio, representing Time Equities here as the applicant for the south parcel. Similar situation here where there's actually three components, no variance included in this one. But we do have the three parts of the applications of a site plan modification, the height exception for the architectural features again, and the community design appeal that again pertains to the habitable space wrapping around the garage. For the site plan itself, the primary access for the resident is the yellow arrow there, which is across from the amphitheater off of Southeast First Avenue. The two blue arrows are giving the access points to the garage that's right outside the door here. So it gives, I see that being the predominant space for your staff and for meetings like we have here today. And then again, we've got the commercial space, 6,816 square feet of commercial space and 465 residential units in this. Also, 8-story building. We're allowed to have up to 87 feet in height here. We're again below that height to the roof deck as it's measured. We do have the appurtenances above that are allowed by code with the height exception that's before you tonight. Parking garage has, well, actually there's 1,024 total parking spaces for the project, for this south project, and 224 of those out of the 473 for the city use. Similar type of design, we've got the commercial space on the corners, and then wrapped with the rest of the ground level space is residential. We do have some amenity spaces that's on the south side, like the FPL vault and the mechanics, the back of house, if you will. Internally, there's plenty going. This slide actually shows it better. Again, the amenity package with this is going to be fantastic for the residents between the blue space, which is just a sundry of different types of amenities on top of the two different courtyards, similar layout, and the co-work space that I had mentioned before for the north building. Same approach with the landscaping. We actually, in this building, we were able to the 10-foot step back that I talked about before, thus the variance, we were able to accomplish that on all four sides here of the building. So it actually gives a little extra room for some landscaping along the street, but we still have that pedestrian space of a minimum of an 8-foot sidewalk, street tree areas, landscape areas, and then along Southeast First, that space is actually deeper. So I think it's going to be a great amenity being right across from City Hall and from the amphitheater itself. The yellow box here on this is really showing the area for the community design appeal that I'll touch on. Again, that space is again that fourth side of the parking garage that isn't wrapped with habitable space. It's still architecturally designed to be very consistent with the rest of the architecture of the building. but it provides the ventilation that's really necessary from a garage standpoint, so you don't asphyxiate yourself when you're parking to come to city commission meetings. So again, this community design appeal is to allow for that northern facade of just the garage space itself to not be wrapped by habitable space. Staff, again, is supporting this request. The height exception, same thing here. We're 82 feet to the roof deck. And then we go up to about 106 feet to the peak of the architectural features. Again, massing, scaling, architectural style brings those features into play and really finishes off the streetscape look of the building itself. So that we're asking that the height exception be approved as well for those architectural features. Just to show some of this, some of what the architecture is going to look like. This is, you can see where the amphitheater is. To the right side is City Hall, and so that's the north side of the building, and the east side of the building. And then from the south side, this is from the southwest corner looking to the northeast, looking up Seacrest on the left side, and Southeast 2nd Avenue across the bottom side of the screen. This one I do, the height is something that is established by the zoning district, which we're complying in and actually staying below the maximum height here and trying to provide that landscape space, especially there along the south side with the single family adjacent to the south. And this is giving you a little more of a street view. This is on Southeast 2nd Avenue. Commissioner Hay, we do have that same type of atmosphere on the north side of the building, like we do on the north side for the retail space and the plaza space that's covered. So that's part of this design as well. That's really summing up the project itself: site plan modification, community design appeal for the garage and the habitable space, and the height exception for the architectural features. And again, we have these suggested modifications to the conditions that are the same as last time: some cleanup on the engineering, and then just adding the language into the utilities condition that allows us to identify grease traps at the time that the restaurants are coming in for permitting. So I believe I covered it all this time, and just since that's really the end of my presentation, but I think this is a great slide to see once this is all implemented and constructed. This is Seacrest Boulevard in the front at the edge of the arrows, and the different components of the project. Obviously, it doesn't plug in Phase 4, which is still up to commission, whether it's this commission or the next commission, as to what that is. But for me, someone who's been in Boynton Beach for 34 years now, this is really exciting to see this and to see the growth of the downtown of Boynton Beach. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's turn to staff. Any comments?
No further comments, just the staff. We want to inform that staff is in support to minor modification to the condition of approval.
All right, thank you so much. With that, let's turn to public comment. Again, we're on items 8E, F, and G. This is about the southern parcels and the related development order request. E, F, and G. One second. Sir, one second. I don't think the microphone is on. Can you double check, Adam? No. Is it on?
Thank you so much.
There we go.
Dr. Blas, 113 Tara Lakes Drive, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33436. I don't want to waste any time. I like everybody here. This is the greatest city in the world, but this is the lousiest plan I have ever seen. The land that we're describing in both south and north, if I'm professor of mathematics, I can prove to you mathematically the value of that land, if properly used, is $1 trillion. For a few million, you're selling the city. Don't do it. They put on a nice suit, presentation, so on. My comments were ignored. Susan Oyer, who is descended from the founders of the city, she represents the best history of the city. Everybody, the so-called proponents and the staff, ignored what she said. So is this a democratic discussion? I sense corruption here. I'm running for mayor. I'm going to announce now, when I get elected, my administration will take over all this building, all this project, and do it right. We're not going to sell Boynton Beach for a few $1 million. Thank you.
All right, next person on the right this time.
Thank you. Is it on? Okay. Thank you, Susan Oyer, Boynton Beach. So I guess I have some more questions on this one because I sat in the arts, I was on the arts board when all this came up, and the art that was supposed to be part of this I'm not seeing. I seem to recall that there was supposed to be some kind of liquid screen that would be showing things like around Boynton or something as part of this project, and I'm not seeing that on here. There was also supposed to be some kind of mural from Amanda Johnson on the garage. I'm not seeing that either. It looks like it's all just one big part of the project, which is fine, and I get that. And you know, my argument with height will never be listened to because I'm right and you're wrong because we all voted for it, and you guys aren't doing what the residents want. But moving past that, where is the art feature? So if it was already approved years ago for a liquid screen, if I'm remembering correctly, but for sure this mural that was supposed to be painted on the garage, where is that? That's not on this. I think you really should be looking at a living wall on the south side of this. You are putting a 106-foot building directly across a small residential street from single-family homes. These are one-story homes, and you are putting 7 more stories up. That is in no way compatible. The city has a compatibility rule that you can't go more than 1 story above what the existing is when you build something new, because otherwise it's not compatible. Would you want to live in those homes? And don't tell me, yay, they can sell, because that's just an excuse for you to build more ugly, big, tall buildings that the residents have said repeatedly they do not want. How would you like to have your child growing up across the street from this? How safe is that going to be? And this gets back to the email I sent you earlier. There is proof that the ground pounding for these tall buildings causes the ground to sink, which is in the email I just sent you, but it also is leading to sinkholes. This is not good. This is too tall. It's a beautiful project, but let's make it compatible. Stair step it in from the single-family homes, both across Seacrest, which is not that wide to account for 7-story difference, and definitely not a 15-foot street across from single-family homes. If you were those people living there, and they've lived there for decades and paid taxes for decades, do you really think this is the right choice? Would you want that in your neighborhood? I know for a fact none of you would. So please, maybe we should be looking at discussing the art that was supposed to be part of this, that you have yet to address, and the compatibility. Thank you.
Thank you. 1 second, sir. All right.
My name is Mr. James Edgerton. I live
Have you
at
been sworn
130.
in, sir?
Excuse me?
Have you been sworn in?
No.
Maylee.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, make it short and quick.
State your name for the record, sir.
James Edgerton. They call me Mr. Mayor and the politician for the children. What we want to do, I came last time when you talking about the baseball field and the crime and stuff. Little children say they don't got no place where they can talk about our issues and stuff. We had a child that got killed on a motorcycle, one on the four-wheeler, and we got property, but we don't let them do nothing. We always tell them what to do. We building big things so we can get tourism down here, but what about our children? Now in the 3rd grade, if I don't pass the FCAT, they got a jail cell for me. Okay, what I'm telling them about, I have a son, I'm divorced and all this other crap, but y'all won't never let them talk about nothing, just like the churches. You always tell them to do something, and they do it. But you don't listen to them. They go to school and stuff. They don't talk to us. I don't talk to grown-ups either. Because you always tell them to do something, and when they get old, then they mad. So give them a place, and they'll fix themselves. You was talking about the drugs and all that. You got to tell them the difference and let them do choosing. You can't just say don't do it. You got to tell them why. I'm tired of all this killing around here. I was on the block. I be over there where they sell drugs and stuff, because I do Denzel training day. Because I need to know what the problems is,
Sir?
so I can tell God about it.
Sir, I want to thank you for your comments, but during this time, it has to be about these 3 items.
Yeah, the children.
All
man.
right,
Come
thank
on.
you. All right, next public comment speaker. Again?
We're going to be the best city.
Sir?
Donald Trump ain't nothing, man.
Sir, thank you. We're moving on to the next person. Again, as a reminder, have you been sworn in? We're going to wait 1 moment.
Let him finish.
Sir, yeah.
Got a point.
Officer, please escort him out. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir,
Have you been
sub-
sworn in? Go ahead.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Neil Richardson, Southeast 2nd Avenue. You know, this has been a plan going on for 10, 12 years. I've been waiting patiently for development. I like the design. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, beautiful layout. I agree with Susan, too tall. But, you know, these people spend a lot of money probably on this property, and they got to make the most out of the square footage that they can. So it's their property to do what they need to do to make their money, to get their returns out of it. I prefer it to be condos, rental properties. We have abundance of rental properties. I wish it would be condos, but like it is, it's their property. Thank you for putting the wrap around the fence. It was tattered for a while. I made some complaints. The grass was growing long. Now it's all mowed. Now I know why we're having this presentation, so everything looks great. So appreciate that. You know, I just been waiting a long, long time for this. I'm glad finally something's been proposed. I love the on Southeast 2nd Avenue, the apartments and the balconies and the towers. You know, I'm in the field, so the only thing I don't see is like the top of the elevator shafts. How high are they
Sir,
going to be? Are they going to be like?
Please speak on the
I
mic.
will. Well, I wanted to look at them when I spoke to them. So I want to know whether the top of the elevator shafts are going to be an issue, because the elevator's got to go to the top floor, and if there's machine room there, it's another 15 feet above that with the roofs and all. So that might add into height restrictions. So I don't know what they're doing with elevators, but I love the exiting the parking off 2nd Avenue. I was very concerned that with the 2nd Avenue gets a lot of traffic. There's kids on that street, and I just see that it's going to get worse traffic down there, but it is what it is. But I'm just glad this is finally happening. He said he can start in 2025. I don't know where his plans and I see renderings, but design, the contractor's going to want to throw back all kinds of things, value engineering to change the design of the building. I'm leery of that, because I like all the roofs and the balconies and the canopies over the balconies and the offset building going in and out all the way down. All that costs a lot more money, so that's what I'm leery about. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. And I see no one else in the room that has not yet spoken. So we are going to go to those online, and there is no one online. So public comment on these 3 items is now closed. Let's hear from staff and the applicant for any responses to anything that has been said thus far. Either one.
Well, I'll go first again, just in response to Ms. Williams' comments. The art, I think that was the Pierce that she was thinking of, because we haven't we haven't really proposed anything specific art-wise. As part of that response, part of the development agreement is it's either the art or a $1 million contribution that goes to the city of Boynton Beach for the art program. So we're providing it.
Right. We're fully complying with, if this is on, we're fully complying with the art program as specified in the developer agreement. We didn't show art here because it hasn't been selected yet, and we want your all feedback, but that's another day. And as Bradley said, we have the choice, as I understand, of putting the art ourselves or paying a fee to the city for it. So the fact that the art isn't reflected in the renderings is not bad. It's just we're not there yet.
I can add a little more to it. Actually, there was the colorful drawings proposed on the facade of the parking garage. It was a part of the renderings in the master plan. I believe this residents saw those renderings and then they were expecting it. Now those are removed because it is removed those components and now it's going to be art fee. So
we don't know if it's going to be art fee or if we're going to actually put the
Okay,
art. We have the choice. But you're right. At one point, we rendered screens in the colorful screens in the windows, let's say, of the parking garage as just
North building.
as just a placeholder. But anyway, the art is going to be dealt with properly.
The other thing that Ms. Royer brought up was across from the single family. We did, I think it was December that we had the public meeting. I had a great turnout. I didn't say Commissioner Turkin now. Sorry, you lost the VP. But was there and had a great turnout, good dialogue, and our feedback was nothing but positive coming out of that. And I appreciate Mr. Richardson was one of those who was there, and appreciate him coming out tonight to address his comment about the elevator shafts. That's all part of this height exception. There's a parapet that goes up that will help screen that, as well as the height of the architectural features that are up on that. And the elevators are set into the building a little bit, so from a ground level, they're just not going to be part of it. The elevator shafts by code can exceed that height, and then they're screened by these parapets and the architectural features. And then one last thing that I have is for the garage access. I'll say when we first started the design of this south building, the access was coming out on the southeast 2nd Avenue. And we got, your staff quickly said, yeah, no. And so about face, and we got that turned around, and happy we did.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify for the commission that based on the developers agreement, the public art program, it has been selected already that it would be a $1 million contribution based on the developers agreement as it's stated. So that money will go into the public art fund and will be utilized for public art and civic spaces.
Corrected then.
All right, thank you. If there's no other further comments, let's move on to questions from my colleagues. Let's begin on my right this time. Commissioner Cruz, any questions for either party regarding these three items?
We already discussed the south. And
All
the
right,
north,
thank
so.
you. All right, same thing with Commissioner Turkin. Commissioner Hay, any questions for them on these three items?
Just have some clarification. Going back to the height, I noticed the maximum allowable height was measured at 99 feet, and on the other one it was 87 feet, a difference of 12 feet. Could you explain that again?
Certainly. This project is amongst 3 different overlays, which complicates matters all along. This is within what's called the cultural district, and what they allow for, what the code allows for, is that when you're in that district and when you participate in the workforce housing program, which we are, then you're allowed another 12 feet or another floor. For the north building that you've already acted on, it's in the Boynton Beach Boulevard Overlay District, and it allows for 2 floors more. That takes it up to 99 feet. So that's the difference. But both of these are at 82 feet,
82? Okay,
and then the appurtenances above.
okay. Just a general question. Our employees right now are parking mostly on the north side, that open parking lot. Are they going to have adequate parking in that, whatever the number was that you stated for the public parking in those 2 buildings?
So as you can probably imagine, parking, our parking guru's in the room, and I think her head spins at night with the numbers. But the parking numbers are there. Through the master plan, the development agreement, the number between the 2, the north and the south, was 473 spaces that are assigned for that. And this one, I can never remember the specific numbers. This one has 224 parking spaces in this south garage. That'll literally be right out the door.
That's more than adequate for our parking, public parking for employees, Dan? Okay.
That's all calculated. The City Hall, the Cultural Center, the Children's Museum was part of Phase 1. And if you don't count the temporary parking spaces, there's 66 parking spaces to support all this because of the anticipated development of these 2 projects and these 2 garages. So that's where these additional parking spaces, everybody wanted it to come faster, but if it wasn't for time equities, we might still be looking for a developer to do that. So they're coming in and providing that parking that's needed, that not only does it support the project that they build, but it also has additional parking spaces that cover the use of City Hall and the civic uses of the Cultural Center and the Children's Museum.
Excellent.
And then there will be, Phase 4 will have more parking yet to go.
Beautiful. I think it's a great project.
That confuse you enough?
I believe it. I
You got
understand. I got it. And you in agreement with all the conditions of approval?
We are, with the exception of those 2 that I put onto the screen. Number 6, I think it's number 19, which is really just cleanup of some language that we've worked with staff to reach an agreement on making those modifications. It's going to make a cleaner record for pretty important development in the city.
Staff is in agreement with that? Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Hay. Vice Mayor Kelly, questions?
Thank you. My only, well, I say my only question, but it usually leads to another one. But the extra height, is it to kind of even it out with the north, so the north and the south parcels are not at the...
It really does, just because they're similar in elevation and height, the height of the building themselves. But it's really to provide a better architectural feature on the top. The roof lines here, so on the slide here, the bottom red line is where the roof line is, and then you can see it's those, essentially it's those tower features that go above. If you go less than that, I've used this approach in presenting things like this before, of show it without. It is ugly. It's just ugly. This finishes the top of the building, plus it provides the purpose of screening the mechanical equipment, elevator shafts, things like that. So there's purpose and there's aesthetics to it.
Great, thank you. My other question has to do, it was mentioned in public comment about the color. I know these are renderings, but Rob, what's your vision for, is this really what you're thinking, that's gonna be browns and darks? And and what does the city, you know, how much control do we have over what color you?
So I do want to clarify, these colors are approved within this process as well. So I would say it might be coming off more brown, but most of it are cool grays, a white, if I'm correct.
And where it drew from, not to point to a finger, is I mean, it's all one project. So the City Hall building was the newest architecture, and there's the paint palette is, if it's not the same, it's similar in colors and natures and the architectural features that are part of it. The darker browns that are there are the darker browns that are part of City Hall. So I think it would throw it off if we went to a whole complete different architectural skin.
Okay, great, thank you. That's all my questions, thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on now. We've heard from everybody. Again, these are items 8E, F, and G. We're going to proceed to voting on item 8E. This is the development order for the south parcel for the CDA, Community Design Appeal. May I have a motion to approve item 8E?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner Hay. All those in favor of the motion to approve item 8E, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those who oppose, motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Turkin dissenting. Item 8F, all those in favor, may I have a motion? May I have a motion to approve item 8F?
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hayes, or a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor of the motion to approve item 8F, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose, say no. Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Turkin dissenting. Item 8G, may I have a motion to approve item 8G?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
from Commissioner Hay, a second from Vice Mayor Kelly. All those in favor of the motion to approve item 8G, say aye. Aye. All those who oppose, say no. All right, nay. All right, motion passes 4-1 with, again, Commissioner Turkin dissenting. We have now concluded all items pertaining to Town Square. Thank you so much for those of you that were here for that. We're now going to move on, and we're going to address them again in bulk. Item H, I, J, and K. We will hear a presentation on item H, I, J, and K. I do want to alert my colleagues and members of the public that item 8H is actually two separate ordinances that have been combined in one item. So we will vote on those two ordinances separately. All right. We are now going to turn back into disclosures pertaining to items HI, J, and K. Let's begin on my left with Vice Mayor.
As to this matter, I have had ex parte communications with Bradley Miller. I have received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record as it pertains to 8H and I and J.
And K. Okay. Thank you so much. Commissioner Hay.
As of these items, H, I, J, and K, as to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communication. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a visit. I have not received expert opinion. I request that these disclosures and all written communication be part of the record.
Thank you. Items 8H through K. As to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions outside of staff. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record. Commissioner Turkin.
As to this matter, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received any written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinion. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
As to this matter, I have had expert communications with Bradley Miller. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. And I have not received expert opinions outside of city staff. I request that these disclosures and all written documentation be made part of the record.
All right, thank you so much, City Clerk. If you could read those items into the record.
Proposed ordinance number 24-007, first reading, is for the approval of Potter Townhomes future land use map amendment from local retail commercial to high-density residential. Proposed ordinance number 24-008, first reading, approval of Potter Townhomes rezoning from community commercial to infill planned unit development with master plan for 8 townhome units. 8I is the to approve development order for a community design appeal for Potter Townhomes for Part 3, Chapter 4, Article 3, Section 3H downspouts, requiring external downspouts to be enclosed within the building structure. 8A, or J, I'm sorry, approve the development order for variance 2024-002, 16905 for Part 3, Chapter 4, Article 2, Section 4B3C, Urban Landscape Buffer Type 2, to grant a variance of 7 feet from the required 12-foot buffer to allow for a 5-foot wide landscape buffer and the elimination of the requirement to provide a 6-foot high masonry wall for the Potter Townhomes project. And K is to approve the development order for a new master plan and new site plan for Potter Townhomes to construct 8 townhome units, amenities, and associated site improvements on a 0.587 acre site located at 2508 North Federal Highway.
All right, thank you so much, City Clerk. We're going to turn now to the applicant. And again, we're going to hear all those items in one presentation, and so we will also have public comments on all those items simultaneously. Are we looking for the mouse, the clicker?
Took it home with me. Sorry about that. Good evening one more time. Bradley Miller, Urban Design Studio, here representing the Potter Townhomes. We're going from 898 units to 8 fee-simple townhomes on this parcel on North Federal Highway. This is just north of Gateway Boulevard on the east side. Potter Road right now is actually, and it has been for a little while, under construction. It's a city project to improve that roadway, providing some drainage there. I was here a couple meetings ago for Harbor K, which is just south of here. Unfortunately, their road is a private easement. Potter Road is a public road, has the width and the capacity to make those improvements. If you did drive by the site, which it didn't sound like anybody did, it's been the staging area for the city's contractor to use. So if you drive by it, there's equipment, there's a lot of stuff on it. But that will be a nice improvement for the community to have it there once we get going. Surrounding to the property to the south and immediately to the east of us is a multifamily development, the Inlet Harbor Club, which is an older condominium. And the piece that's to the east there is actually a secondary access road. They have access to Federal Highway. Then they have a secondary access out to Potter Road. Farther directly east is single family. There's some medical office space to the north. And then across Federal Highway and the railroad is more multifamily apartments on the west side. This has several different components to it, like the last. We have a land use amendment and rezoning that's part of this tonight, as well as a site plan and a community design appeal, as well as a variance. So we've checked a lot of boxes on this small parcel, but small or big, as you get into the design, you need to go that direction in some ways. The land use and the zoning are following directly what the CRA recommendation plan has in it from 2017, which is taking the land use to a high-density residential category of 15 units per acre. And right now, it's a local retail commercial use. Staff report actually pointed out something I hadn't realized, that this was a former gas station site. So I think 8 townhomes here are going to be a little more suitable than a gas station site. Likewise, with zoning, we're going from a commercial zoning district to an infill planned unit development, which allows for some development flexibility and to provide the space in these smaller parcels to work in it. We are in the CRA overlay and have incorporated that, which is primarily the frontage of Federal Highway, of having the pedestrian zone requirements along Federal Highway, having the buildings up along the frontage, which I'll show you as part of the site plan. Again, this is just showing the land use and zoning maps of what it is now. Land use is local retail commercial, and the zoning is C3, and we're changing that to go to high-density residential, which allows for 15 units an acre, and IPUD zoning. With the 8 units, we're at about 13.8 units per acre. So actually, I think a 9th unit was possible, but from a design standpoint, what we have makes a lot more sense. This does have a master plan component to it because it's an IPUD zoning. The master plan is very simple, of showing access and where the 4 buildings are, which are the blue boxes. If you get into the site plan, which is more the detail of the project, there's 4 buildings. Each building has 2 units. They're 3-story buildings with 2-car garages in each of the buildings. We have the guest parking that's there. It's a 3-bedroom with the potential of a 4th bedroom / den / multi-purpose room in the space-wise. Each space has a patio area that's associated with it. The 2 buildings that are on the Federal Highway side, it actually faces Federal Highway, and there is a sidewalk connection to those units out to Federal Highway, which is part of the pedestrian zone. The buildings on the east side, their patio spaces on the east side of the building, and have more of a secluded space. So it actually, out of 8 units, gives some options. There's 2 different recreational areas that have the little darker green in it. There's a putting green, place for a barbecue grill that the residents can use. And then on the north side, there's a dog park for walking the dogs. Guest parking, some of the spaces for guest spaces are actually, there's enough distance behind the garages, like in the building B, which is at the southwest corner, that has room for guest spaces behind the garage space. But for those that don't, there's 2 guest spaces that are part of, that are being put into the street on Potter Road, which is something that's actually encouraged by your staff and code to provide. The public art for a project like this, we're still working on that, but it's still in that same range of from providing some art to contributing to the art fund. The variance that we're asking for is for the buffer that's on the east side of the property. And it's actually an interesting circumstance because in the harbor, although it's a residential community and a condominium community, that component that's in the blue box on the right-hand side, that's east of our property, has commercial zoning on it. So by code, if you have, and we're asking for residential zoning, so our residential zoning adjacent to the commercial zoning requires a 12-foot wide buffer and then the landscape material in it. The variance that we're asking for, that staff is supporting our request, is that we continue to provide the same amount of landscape in that area, but we reduce it down from 12 feet to 5 feet wide. It gives us the room to have a full driveway down the middle and to provide that space internally to the project. If you look at this is the commercial zoning that's to the east of it, and the border of where that variance is. What these slides are showing is what's out there today, that the Eureka hedge is actually part of the Inlet Harbor Club condominium property. That light pole is probably 15 feet tall, and the Eureka hedge is taller than that and thick. So that's there. We can't touch it. It's going to stay there. We're going to be adding landscape to it, so it's very, very well buffered. From a long-term standpoint, if Inlet Harbor was to be redeveloped, the likelihood of that little piece of commercial property being developed for commercial uses is slim to none. And it would also be converted into residential use, and then everybody is in compliance. But since it's a remaining commercial parcel, we needed to request the variance to allow that buffer to be reduced down. If it were a residential use, it would be the 5 feet that we're asking for, with less landscape. That's everything I just said in clearer terms. So this is showing that the green underline there is showing that the landscape material that's required is still being proposed in the space that we have. Architecturally, it's using the modern, very, very great architecture. Stuart Brenner's office out of Boca has been around for a long, long time, and he's designed these great design. You can see it's got overhangs and balconies, and for smaller buildings, it's tough to get into the design, but they've done a really great job of making it work. The one thing that Stuart, well, before I go there, this is just showing the different levels where it's typical 3-story townhouse type style, where you have garage space and some of that multi-purpose bedroom space on the ground level. You go up to the living space is in the middle, and then the bedrooms are on the 3rd floor. Getting to the community design appeal, this is architectural interior. The community design appeal is for, if you can see it, it looks like a dark gray vertical stripe there. That's a downspout for the gutters. And in my opinion, it's something that's a little old in the code. There's a lot of architecture that use downspouts as an architectural feature. The city's code actually wants you to incorporate it into the wall of the building. I mentioned Stuart Brenner. He had quite a response to I'm not going to put it inside the building. I've had buildings that have done that, and they leak, and it's a problem for everybody. This we've incorporated into the colors. It's on the ends of the building, so I think it's something that nobody's even going to notice going by. So we're asking through this community design appeal to allow us to have that downspout on the outside of the building. That sums it up. 8 fee simple townhouses, and we are committed to those. We're going to follow up after this. The next step would be to go into a plat and plat the property into these, the 8 townhomes, there would be an association, because there's going to be some common area with the driveway. The 8 lots, if you will, are essentially the units themselves, and then there's the common space outside of those units, which is very typical for a townhouse development. And then there's an association where everything is collected and done communally. So staff is in recommendation of all components of this. We are in agreement with all the conditions of approval, and I ask for your approval of all 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Bradley. Staff, if you have anything to add or to respond to?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Staff is in agreement with everything, with all of the projects and the proposals. The applicant did a good job working through the site planning process with us. We don't have anything to add, but if you have any questions, we are here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Let's hold off on the questions. Let's hear from the public first. Again, we are hearing on items 8H, I, J, and K. And let me switch to the timer. All right. 1 second. It's probably just off.
Oh, sorry, not
There we
smart
go.
enough to push button. Okay, no big deal with the general concept, but that's just up the road
Sir,
from
can you
me.
state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Harry Woodworth. I wasn't on when I said that. Again, it's just up the road from me, and I've been watching IPUDs go in up there. I live next to an IPUD. The buffer's always the issue, okay? I listen to all of that. I get what Bradley's saying, but let's just be really clear. You're calling this a buffer. You're going to plant trees and plants in this much space. Please, is that a buffer? I mean, come on. You put a tree right in the middle of that. That's no buffer. So let's not call it a buffer. Put a bloody fence up, say no buffer, whatever. But to waive 12 feet, which is about from me to the wall with trees in it, to something like this with a tree in it, probably a palm tree, it looks like a pole when you're done. So there's no buffering we're talking about here. So if anything changes in the future, and we don't know the future, you're depending on that Eureka hedge. And if you want an example of what happens with buffers, drive up on Federal Highway, look to the right as you go by the boat park, not the boat ramp park, but the other park, and watch the condos hanging over the park property, because the other thing you're not talking about here is the dimension's not the dimension. The eave spouts and all those little things that hang out don't count. So you actually have ledges in existing IPUDs that overhang the adjacent property. Go see it for yourself. So I'm just saying, think about what you're doing here. There's no dimensions on those drawings. 5 foot is not a buffer. I don't care if you need a buffer. Maybe you don't want a buffer, put a wall up. But don't kid ourselves that that's a buffer. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on these 4 items? Seeing no one else, let me look online. It says connecting to signal server. All right. What did that mean? I'm going to take it that there is no comments. All right, I got a thumbs up and a something about this. I'm getting mixed messages, guys. All right, listen, public comments are now closed on this. All right, if you want to respond, applicant and staff, to anything that has been said, I assume you want to respond.
To the response to the buffer, I'll answer it this way. The buffer requirement by code includes canopy trees and includes a hedge. It's what's being provided on the south property line because it's adjacent to residential zoning and use. So this again, is just one of those circumstantial situations. There's more space in addition to that to the back of the units, but the technical buffer itself, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you. Staff, any response?
I'll just reiterate what Bradley shared. Along the south property line, which is the Inlet Harbor Club condominium as well, which his property is abutting, they are required to provide a 5-foot wide landscape buffer already. It just so happens that that portion of the community on the east side is zoned community commercial, which is requiring the 12-foot wide landscape buffer. And the current use of that property for Inlet Harbor Club, that portion is for a driveway, a drive aisle entrance or exit, which I think they currently keep gated closed. But technically, it really should be a 5-foot wide buffer. It's just because of the zoning, the current zoning of the property.
All right, thank you. Let's turn now to the dais for any questions. I don't recall where we started last. Let's just begin on my left this time. Vice Mayor Kelly, if you have any questions for
No,
either.
just for clarification on that point with regard to the buffer. So the reason on the, and I just want to make sure for my own edification that I am understanding it correctly. So in any property that's residential in the city-ish, it's a 5-foot buffer. But because on the east side, so there's a 5-foot buffer on the south side, but on the east side, because it's a driveway and it's zoned commercial, even though there's a home or some sort of building on that, in that square that's zoned commercial, because it's commercial, we afford a bigger buffer for commercial properties, and so that's why that.
That's exactly right. So
Okay.
from residential to residential, they would both be required 5 feet on each side. We really call those like landscape strips. When you are abutting residential to commercial, it would be 12-foot wide. So again, the condo to the east has split zoning. If it was zoned appropriately, it would be fully residential, requiring the 5-foot and 5-foot. But because they have split zoning, and we don't ever envision that changing because they need that driveway to access their property, and this property does need the space for their driveway, we do think it is appropriate to allow 5-foot to 5-foot in this situation, because those are the uses, even though it is not consistent with the zoning of their neighbor.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I'm good. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Hay?
That was my concern also. I guess the Potter townhomes meet code as stated.
Correct.
That's it.
All right, Commissioner Turkin?
No, I can understand the sentiment about the buffer. You know, my concern is we have an opportunity for sale product to be here, and you know, I think this is a good project, and you know, I'll support it. And staff is supporting all the approvals, so you know, with that, I'll support this because I think this is a good opportunity where we can get a good product here, and we don't know what else it could be later down the road. So I'd rather it be this product versus something else down the road that could be more dense. And maybe more extreme variances that come in for requests. So I'm okay with this. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cruz?
We had a conversation, right? So just to address the variance, what is immediately next to it is an apartment complex, and that is the entrance to that.
Actually, what's immediately next to it is the driveway to the condominium. The bottom right photograph is showing the driveway. So the site is to the very right side of that photograph. And Mr. Pinder's correct. They have it gated off and it's locked, and I think it's probably there for secondary fire access, or that's how it's being used. So that space to the left of that Areca hedge is part of the Inlet Harbor Condo Association property. It's just leftover community commercial zoning district, so which requires
Leftover
the
land
width.
from the HOA.
Right.
All right. There's not much next to it at this time, and it appears that it might not be. The only thing, as we discussed, I would like to request, as a condition of approval, that we maintain this as fee simple homeownership product, in exchange for changing the zoning from commercial to IPUD.
Understood, and we did have that conversation. I've confirmed it with my client that we can agree to that, yes.
Thank you.
Fee simple. Yeah. Excellent. Anything else from anyone? All right. And for the record, the applicant has consented to that condition of approval. Did I
Yes,
hear
sir.
it correctly? Okay.
I would just like to clarify that the condition of approval would actually be attached to item K, which is the site plan. The other, so H, which covers the land use and the rezoning, are ordinances, and we can't attach conditions of approval to them. So we can attach it to the site plan.
All right. Thank you for that, Amanda. And for clarification, Amanda, I, J, and K, we'll bring that back up next meeting.
Yeah, so these items would be tabled for today, and we'll only be acting on H.
All right. So I, J, and K. Now, item H does have 2 items. So let's bring that to a vote. We've now heard from everybody. Item 8H, proposed ordinance number 24-007. May I have a motion to approve ordinance 24-007?
So moved.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Cruz. I'm going to turn to our city clerk for the roll call vote.
Commissioner Hay?
Aye.
Commissioner Turkin? Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Penserga?
Yes.
In a roll call vote, the motion passed unanimously.
All right, thank you. We're now moving on to proposed ordinance number 24-008. May I have a motion to approve that proposed ordinance?
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hay. We have a second from Vice Mayor Turkin. Okay.
Or Kelly.
I'm sorry, Vice, it's past.
99%.
You were like on it the whole
You
night,
know,
except
you know
for
what
right
happens
now.
after 9? I start to mess up. Vice Mayor Kelly, City Clerk, let's begin the roll call.
Commissioner Hay?
Aye.
Commissioner Turkin?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Penserga?
Yes.
In a roll call vote, the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Now, we do have to table items I, J, and K. May I have a motion to table items 8I?
So move.
We have a motion to table from Commissioner Hayes. Is there a second?
Second.
From Vice Mayor Kelly. All right, all those in favor of the motion to table item 8I, say aye. Aye. All those who oppose, motion passes unanimously. It has been tabled. We have a motion to table item 8J.
So move.
We have a motion, Commissioner Hay. Is there a second? Would someone like to make? We have a second from Commissioner Turkin. All those in favor of the motion to table item 8J, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those oppose, motion passes unanimously. We have a motion to table item 8K.
So move.
We have a motion,
Second.
Commissioner Hay, a second from Vice Mayor Kelly. All those in favor of the motion to table item 8K, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those oppose, motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much. That concludes all of the items.
And this is, we're tabling it just to fix that, to make that change, correct?
Not just
Oh.
that, because it's going
Because of
to
the
come
first,
back.
because we have to do the second readings of the first.
Yes,
Okay,
you'll make a
got it.
decision on
Yeah.
Got
I,
it.
J, and K
Right.
during the second reading of the
Perfect,
ordinance.
thank you.
But to that point, Vice Mayor, I assume it'll come back with that amended addition of that new condition of approval.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Want to make sure I didn't miss something.
No,
It's like,
no,
what's
good
going on?
question. That concludes all of public hearing. Thank you so much to everybody who was here. For that, we're now moving on to City Manager's Report. Purchases over $100,000 for January 2024. I know that we've now moved this to City Manager's Report. Is there anything that you would like to add or questions from my colleagues?
No, we moved this from consent because it's more for transparency reasons. It's an administrative item. If there's any questions, you guys can get with me one-on-one and we can actually go over it. So there's no need to, we were voting on this item before and there's no need to.
Yes, no, it is written here as accept the RIN report. Do we need a formal motion to accept the RIN report?
Motion to accept.
No, we don't
it's
need,
not
we don't
necessary.
need a motion. This,
Okay.
It's just,
It's
it's just
informational.
transparency
This is-
purposes.
Oh, it's just information.
Yes.
yes, we
Yes.
should have corrected the agenda item. We just moved it in a new place, but we'll fix the language moving forward.
All right, thank you so much. Item 11A, discussion on legislative break for the summer. City Manager, you had a proposal for this?
Yes, Mayor, staff's recommendation is going to be the last meeting in June and the first meeting in July. This is going to coincide also with our budget workshops. I know we're going to have 2 of those in summertime, so instead of 5 meetings, we'll narrow it down to 3 meetings, which will be 2 budget workshops, 1 CRA meeting, and then we'll have a legislative break for the 2 actual commission meetings.
All right, let's hear from my colleagues what their thoughts are. I am, well, I guess if no one's going to begin, I'll begin. Although I understand the reasoning, I can support this, but it is not my personal preference. My personal preference is the winter holidays during the Christmas time. However, I understand that for the obvious reasons that have already been mentioned, that's also beneficial to do it during that time as well. So I could go either way, just wasn't my immediate thought. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Just go ahead. Yep, go ahead, Vice Mayor.
My hesitation is only that it's hard to make this decision so far in advance without knowing how agenda-heavy we're going to get closer to budget
I
and
also
stuff
saw
that's
that, yeah.
important, that needs to be addressed or needs to be heard, and I don't want to, so I like the idea of it. I know that we've rescheduled a meeting or canceled a meeting kind of for this purpose, and other times for different reasons, but that's kind of my hesitation. I don't know that.
What would help alleviate your hesitations? Would you prefer we discuss this next meeting? By then, you'll gather more information. What would you need?
Well, I don't know that I necessarily need any. I just have concerns that we're gonna end up having, along with the budget workshops, then the meetings that we do have are gonna end up being very heavy agenda meetings, as opposed to having, meetings that things are spread out, that, I have concerns that we're gonna rush things through or things are gonna get delayed because we're not having meetings, so.
I think that's a fair point. I asked the same question. Staff did have a response for that, but I don't want to speak for them. But thank you for voicing your concerns. Did staff want to respond, or does anyone else want to share their thoughts on this?
Yeah, I brought this forward, after a conversation last year that you had brought up, Mayor.
Yeah.
My intention is just, hey, there's a lot going on in the city. There's a lot, so we definitely don't want to overload the agenda. But I know at the same time, staff works extremely hard, and when you have so much movement and development in the city, it takes a lot of work. And we are a city of 900 people, families. I think maybe asking the employees, what's best, winter or summer. My thought process is, just summer vacation, things like that, so they can get away, with their families. But, for me, it's just what's best for staff. How can they sharpen their saw, right? And, take a little bit of a break. So I'm indifferent, I'll go with majority. My intention was just to, provide a break, not just for us, but also staff, and allow them time off, to spend some vacation and quality time with their families.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. I share those sentiments. I think we all do. Commissioner Hay, you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, I can understand the points that are being made, but again, I'm old school, and I feel that comments that's been made by Vice Mayor Kelly is a valid one. I see us running into difficulty by stacking and not spreading it out. I also feel that this is a job, and we've been able to manage all of these years without this, and I don't see a need for it, but I'm willing to go along with the majority. But I really feel that this is what we signed up for, and this is what it takes. It's only twice a month that we do this, for whatever length of time. Right now is 3 hours, just about. but we determine how long it's going to be. So to answer your question, Mayor, I don't see the need for it. I just assume it stay just like it is, and we move forward. However, I can go along with the majority.
All right, Commissioner Cruz, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of open to, whatever's best for staff. I do know that some people have already taken their vacation recently, and some people might have vacation like in the pipeline within the next month or two. We can't really tell people like you should take your vacation during this time frame. They should really they are able to take it whenever they want. I can say like I haven't taken. So for me, regarding to the response to my schedule, I have already set up some time with my family in May for 1 week, but I will be here, the entire rest of the month of May, June, and July. So if staff thinks that it's a good idea and it's beneficial for them, I'm not opposed to it, but, kind of open.
So here's what I would say, just hearing from everyone's comments. We have concerns from several board members here, and so we can call it a compromise. How about we continue with the schedule as is, but the city manager will keep us informed around that time what the agenda draft starts to look like. If it's light, maybe we can take those weeks off. We can revisit the topic, and if it's heavy, then we'll just keep going through. Right? So we'll adjust as we go, but we keep that in mind that we are aiming for those few weeks, but it's hard to predict what the workload will be that far into the future.
I think we could also take the same approach to winter as well. So
Yeah. All right. So at least now it's in the back of everyone's mind. Just keep us posted and we'll continue the conversation. Okay. With that concludes all the items of today's agenda. Are there any closing comments that my colleagues would like to make? Vice Mayor, we'll end with you last. Let's begin with Commissioner Cruz. Any closing comments? All right, Commissioner Turkin, Commissioner Hay?
No.
Vice Mayor?
Just thank you. Thank you for your support. Commissioner Turkin, thank you for your year. Thank you for your year of being vice mayor and for, handing the baton off to me. So I'm excited. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. We have a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you to all the staff and all those listening online, and thank you to our police officer. Thank you.
Make sure you use these to see the eclipse.